Tired of the silence, the sugar-coated lies. Another headline screaming behind vacant eyes. They build up their walls, so high and so strong, but the truth's gonna break through before too long. Every single day, the same damn old game, pointing all the fingers, nobody takes the blame. This pressure's building, it's starting to crack. Ain't no turning back now, ain't no holding back. I'm about to say it, yeah, I'm about to scream. Tired of the fake smiles, living in a dream. The real life's bleeding out in the cold. Gotta break the mold, gotta let it unfold. I'm about to say it, every single word. The uncomfortable truth finally gonna be heard. I'm gonna say it.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to hashtag I'm gonna say it. All things said in today's show are alleged and for entertainment and educational purposes only. If you are below the age of 18, we request you leave the live now. Enjoy.
Thank you for joining in, sis. Hey, I got you. There you go. Listen, today we are going to put a disclaimer on the show for the simple fact some of the things or statements made may be, I don't know, triggering, could be too adultish, too sinister, anything like that, right? So we just want to protect our platform. We're going to go ahead and put a disclaimer on there, a discretion on there. And again, I just want to reiterate what Sister Bernice says. If you are below the age of 18, we need you to leave the live now. You are not welcome. You are asked to leave. Jess-Ann, welcome in. How are you, bestie? Good afternoon to you as well. You working? We're gonna go. Hold on. Let me get where I need to be. Sorry, y'all. All right. Okay, let's get started. And those, thank you, sis, for sharing out the live. And Ajax, welcome to hashtag I'm gonna say it. I appreciate you joining. Get you a seat, sit down, and join us for a while. Here's what we're gonna talk about. I think that we're gonna talk about David. We're gonna talk about the start of this. I know we all can agree on the fact that it's sad that Celeste is no longer here behind this craziness. And when it comes to that, uh, sometimes we can put some of the blame on the mom. We have put some of the blame on the parents or her family. We've put some of the blame on David. We put some of the blame on Neo and those people that are around it. That's around David. We blame the LAPD for under investigating this. Right? We've done that as well. And we're saying that, and we do that and say that they could have prevented this from happening. Let me put a one in the live if y'all can hear me. I got like a little. The audio seems like I'm a little, like I'm in a tunnel or something to me. But are y'all good? Y'all can hear me okay? Okay. All right. Thanks, sis. So before, I'm not gonna say we're wrong for giving those people the blame. But what if the parents? Let's go back to the parents because could they have possibly prevented this from happening had they paid more attention to him? Had they not secluded him from so many things? As a parent, I understand that we want to protect our kids from all things that could be harmful to them or that's not good or beneficial to them. We can do that, right? Dimple Cheek says that's the agenda. Yeah, I think so. I honestly think so. Now, in bringing that up, this is where we say that you when you isolate your children from other children or from being social, that could be a very bad thing, right? Oh, I thought you were saying is that okay? I thought you were saying is that what his parents were doing? I'm like, yeah, I think they were trying to. Maybe they thought they was doing, but the best one. We're talking about David today. I was gonna put his picture up there, but I didn't. We're talking about David, but we're gonna break it. That we're gonna listen to some audio that's going to go more in depth with how did we get here? How did David get to the point that he's now incarcerated and looking at a murder charge? So when we do that, you're going to hear how the reaction happened, or how this pretty much festered inside of him to get where he was. Alan Jones, welcome in. Welcome to hashtag I'm going to say it. Pull you up a seat and hang out with us. And so the reason I'm also playing this is because we did a show last week sometime. And at the end of the show, or near the end of the show, I stated that as sad as everything is, as bad as everything is, I still and I still believe he deserves to be incarcerated. But I felt like I made the statement. I felt like there needs to be some type of psychological help provided to him. And when I said that, Simply Kim was in here, and she was like, "Well, yeah, there's a video out there. Did you not see the video?" They basically were saying the guy was saying the same thing. I was like, "No," and at the time I didn't see it. So she sent it to me. Shout out to Simply Kim. Let's W Simply Kim in the live. I don't know if she's in here yet, but I listened to this, and exactly what I was saying at the end of that broadcast is what they're saying here. Like, him being isolated did more detrimental damage than it did helping him. So let's slow things down. Bestie's in here. What's up, Lord? Stream Kings, thank you for joining hashtag I'm gonna say it. Pull you up a seat. Hang out with us for a few minutes. But before we get started on that, y'all, here's what we need y'all to do from our end. We just need y'all to double tap that screen, gift and uplift if possible, and share out the live so we can get more people in here. We can get into the FYP, and we can get this truth out here. So now, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and start this. Here's what we do. For those that are new here, we play 10 minutes, and then we stop. And then after that, we'll play another 10 minutes, and then we'll stop, and so on and so forth. And we do that so that you have the time to consume all that you've heard. We'll take a break and see where we're at. We may have some people come up, or we may have people on the panel already. Thank you for that heart me. I appreciate that, Bestie. Listen, make sure you do your heart me too. You come in, you're welcome, of course, but click that orange heart. Send your heart me's so that serves as your check-in. The platform knows you're engaging. It serves as your check-in, and then please go back, click that orange heart again after you sent your heart me, do your activities, and claim your points. All right, we want to look out for everybody here. All right, Love Baby, thank you for reposting that. Welcome in, welcome in. Mama Bear, thank you for joining hashtag I'm gonna say it. Please pull you up a seat and hang out with us. All right, y'all, we're gonna go ahead and start our first 10 minutes.
A murder that has become one of the most discussed crime cases of recent times is that of David Anthony Burke, who went by the stage name David. David was at the peak of his career. He dropped a high-charting debut album, he had millions of social media followers, and was significantly wealthy for a man only 20 years old. However, in September of 2025, detectives discovered the body of a 14-year-old girl that had been missing for months, Celeste Rivas Hernandez, in the trunk of his Tesla, decomposed, dismembered, and abandoned. And for months, people debated on whether they believed that this innocent-looking, clean-shaven young man with a melodic voice could do the things he'd been accused of. But now that David has been arrested for murder, and the prosecution have documented their evidence, the likelihood that this was some sort of setup has been significantly reduced. It became evidenced that David had a physical relationship with Celeste while she was still a child. and when they broke up and she allegedly threatened to expose the relationship to ruin his career, the prosecution believed he took matters into his own hands to protect what he'd built. But when you add the context that he made music constantly that included themes of blood, violence, and a romance that ends in tragedy, it's caused a lot of people to suspect that this outcome was something David always wanted. However, I'm not here to discuss theory and conspiracy. I'm here to clinically answer two main overarching questions. How did David's life engineer him to become someone capable of potentially murdering and dismembering a child? And if he did, then what mental mechanisms allowed him to carry on with life after the fact, knowing the body of the girl he was once intimate with was decomposing in his car? It's easy to just label him as pure evil and move on, but as a student of psychology, I find it crucial that we understand what happened to him in childhood, what were the warning signs, and figure out the why that surely exists in this story. There's a lot of questions I've seen online that I think I have the ability to answer by the end of this video. Answers that will give you a genuine understanding into the mind and psychology of David Anthony Burke.
I played it for her in the car. She was like, David, this song is too violent. You talking about killing people in your music? No, not my son. I was like, wait, I might be onto something.
Let's start from the beginning. So, you're a New Yorker.
New Yorker, Queens, New York.
What are your parents like? Are they musicians?
Not at all. My dad is a litigator for a law firm. My mother was a teacher. She doesn't do it anymore, but she does notary now.
David Anthony Burke was born in Queens, New York, to Colleen and Dawood Burke, two Christian parents that seemingly would give him a tough and controlled upbringing.
Everything we played in the house, music-wise, was just Bach, Beethoven, Mozart, gospel music, like classical stuff, instrumentals only. Like, we didn't listen to any other music. There was no like Lady Gaga and all the popular artists everybody was listening to. We never could listen to that because my parents just wouldn't let us. It was just like straight classical stuff.
It was literally nothing. It was all gospel and like classical, Mozart, Bach, like all that type of stuff. Because my parents wanted me to be really smart. They never like talked about college or anything like that, but they always wanted me to be very intellectual, very put together, have an idea of what I'm doing, but they never like listened to music like that at all.
Trying to control what your kids listen to and the content they consume isn't necessarily harmful in and of itself. But if a kid is going to school and has no level of cultural relatability, it can cause feelings of being excluded, which in turn affects his socialization. If everyone got to access music and it became a point of discussion he couldn't involve himself in, it might have led to feelings of envy. And instead of David accepting this, he tried to find a way around it.
Did your parents put sort of a cap on what you couldn't listen to in the
Nah, I was
house?
sneaking
It
around.
wasn't like that.
I had this little iPod. I used to sneak. I got it with me right now too. I still got these. I used to sneak around with the
my
iPod
God.
Touch. I used to sneak around with the iPod Touch and download things off iTunes and stuff like that.
The sneaking around his parents like this is consistent with reactance theory, proposed by Jack Brem in 1966. When perceived behavioral freedom is restricted, individuals are motivated to reclaim it. In these situations, the forbidden fruit, which for David would have been music, becomes more desirable, and the individual tries to acquire it by any means, even if it includes secrecy. Now, it's not the behavior itself that's necessarily significant, but the pattern it establishes. That authority is to be managed through concealment rather than confronted directly. This pattern would then reoccur later through his adult life. It didn't help David that his private school life in New York also consisted of bullying and teachers picking on him, so he had an uneasy time both at school and at home.
I hated New York at that point. Like,
Why did you
I didn't
hate
like
it?
my school. I was at a
'cause
private
you-
school, and they treated me so horribly, dude.
Why?
It was insane. I don't know. All the teachers had it out for me. My little brother could testify to that too. Dude, they just had it out for me all the time. I don't know what it was. I would just do nothing to nobody, and the teachers would just pick on me and bully me for no reason, bro. I wanted to leave that place so bad.
And he got his wish as they moved to Houston, Texas, and he found it slightly better at his new school. But he was a kid that didn't really seem to find anything that stuck. His parents tried to get him into music, but it wasn't stimulating enough for him at that time.
She put me into piano lessons when I was 7, and then I quit that after a week. She was like, okay, I'm not going to pay for it if you don't like it. Quit that. I went into she put me in a church choir when I was 8. Quit that. And then I was in middle school band. When I was in 7th grade, I played the flute, and I quit that.
But he never developed into a conventionally social child. He describes himself as a people watcher rather than a member of a friend group, sitting apart in cafeteria settings and constructing fictional narratives around classmates that they were unaware of.
At school, before I was homeschooled, like middle school, elementary, I would look at these kids, like at cafeteria, at lunch was like my playground, like my brain's playground. Like, there's so many.
Hold on, y'all. I hate to interrupt. We're going to do a flash goal. the platform just gave us. We need 3 different people to send the ice cream cone. We got 15 minutes to do that. I think y'all should handle that easily. But that's the flash goal, y'all. We got 15 minutes to hit it in. Lori, thank you for that. I appreciate you so much for donating to that. Okay, we need a sis. Thank you for donating to that. I appreciate it. We just need one more person to send an ice cream cone. One more person.
Many different kids, and they're all doing something different. I would just sit there and I'm a people watcher. I would just inspect them and like write about them and stuff like that. And I kind of brought these characters to life that were inspired by my classmates. So every time I would write like a short story, I'd have these different classmates in these stories, and they would never know. It's like different names and everything, but they were inspired by my classmates.
This preference to observe people and create these stories was an early marker that he had a natural tendency to see people as subjects for analysis rather than reciprocal social partners. Combined with his bullying in New York, it suggests he felt more inclined to exist on the edge of social bubbles rather than in them, present but not integrated, watching but not connecting. He says he began writing poetry in the 5th grade and pursued anime, gaming, and creative fiction from a young age.
Yeah, ever since I was young, I really just liked anime, gaming, and poetry. That's it.
Reaper, thank you for that ice cream cone. I appreciate it. Thank y'all. We closed out that gifting goal. Thank y'all.
Characters with powers and all that, that weren't superheroes, and that inspired me to start writing and write my own stories about them.
But just in case his parents couldn't give him any more reason to resent them, they took him out of public school, the only place he was getting any sort of socialization, the place where he was letting his imagination run wild, and they instead placed him on an isolated homeschool curriculum.
Transitioning from public school to homeschool is tragic. The first 2 years was tragic.
Tragic.
I was asking to go back to school almost every day. My brother too.
Was the decision to move from public schooling to homeschooling a difficult one?
It was, and it wasn't mine, it was my parents. So there's 2 different types of homeschooling in America. There's like group homeschooling, where it's parents that don't want their kids to be in public school environments, but they still want them to be in social groups. So you have homeschool kids that meet once a week at a specific place, and they play like extracurricular activities like basketball and stuff like that, so they can socialize, and they do the work on paper. And then there's a second homeschooling where it's just strictly on computer. That's what I did.
They didn't let him enroll on the socialized model involving group meetings with peers, but a fully computer-based, home-based program with no structured peer contact whatsoever. From a developmental psychology standpoint, this is the most significant single environmental factor in his profile. Erikson's 8th stage model identifies adolescents, approximately 12 to 18 years old, as the critical period for identity versus role confusion. The developmental task of forming a stable, coherent sense of self through peer interaction, social experimentation, group belonging, and the feedback of others. Removing a child from that process during its peak window doesn't simply slow development, it redirects it, and they don't develop normally. And the main damage that came from that cutoff was socializing. None of his peers stayed in contact with him following the transition, and he was all alone.
I thought I had a lot of friends in middle school, and then after being homeschooled, nobody's hitting me up, nobody's asking me like, where am I at? Why am I not coming to school today? It made me question like, what is a real friend? And do I have any of those as well?
Especially when I was transitioning from public school to homeschooling, and nobody like hit me up on Snapchat when I was like streaking everybody. My Snap score was like 250,000, bro.
And nobody hits you back?
Nobody,
he
dude.
spent a lot of time.
That's what I'm saying.
So.
Like nobody, like, who, you not at school? Where'd you go, Dave? Like nobody. Like, did I really have friends? And you start to question things.
Oh,
like,
totally.
About your everyday life. It's like who's really there for you at the end?
I mean, dude, homeschooling really takes a toll on a kid. Like,
isolation.
Yeah, and there's outlets like I made a couple friends now that were homeschooled, but they had like these groups that they would go to like bi-weekly and just to socialize. But I didn't have that. Like
David would start to feel a growing disconnect between himself and his age mates, and an acute awareness of experiences that he was excluded from. I've gone through his TikTok, and this was clearly what hit him hardest. He was emotional seeing homeschool proposals. He has another post titled, "What It Felt Like to Be a Homeschool Teen," and I won't play the audio for copyright reasons, but the lyrics go, "Everybody's falling in love and I'm falling behind," as he visibly shows his frustration at that fact. He missed out on having high school relationships, but had to watch everyone else get to have one through Snapchat. His former peers got to post relationship quotes and pictures with their partner, whilst he stayed at home, unable to do anything but watch.
All right, we completed our first 10 minutes. It's a couple of things that we've heard him point out. And again, I'm in no way trying to justify what he's what he's being accused of. I'm not trying to give him an out. I want to make sure we get that out there. However, we can't sit here and deny or turn a blind eye to the fact that he's saying, listen, being homeschooled, being alienated, being separated from everybody, that it didn't bother him. He's telling us it affected him. Also, what that does is it also kind of let us know his, I don't know what word I can use, his attraction to girls that are younger than him, that much younger. It's almost as if his mind is stuck in this time period or this time frame where kids were middle school and high school. They were able to be sociable. They were able to have relationships with their classmates and stuff. When I say relationships, I mean, friendships and intimacy, stuff like that. They were able to do all of these things. Sis, good way of putting that. She said, kind of like MJ lost childhood, so he seeks it out with children. Exactly. So by David not being able to have these particular relationships or these certain types of relationships in middle school and high school, his mind is just centered on girls that age. I'm not saying it's right. Again, I'm not trying to give him an out or a pass. What I'm trying to do is to get us to psychologically see that his mentality was stagnant or at a certain age. Jenny's stuck in high school because he never got those experiences. Thank you, sis. That's why I love that. Lori said we have to see all sides. Thank you, Leslie. We want to bring all sides. I don't want to just sit up here and just rag on him, man. Like, I mean, it's already messed up what he did, for sure. Allegedly, that he done, for sure. And again, I'm going to say, even if he didn't do it, what he's accused of doing, I'll try to find it when we end this. I'll try to find something that, I think it's in my phone. I'll look for it, but it's where someone that was a part of his camp, they said, basically they were saying, I'm not the only one that unalived her. David did too. To me, that made me pay attention, because one of the things we said from the beginning was he didn't do this alone. He had help. He had help. And so when that particular audio was sent to me or video was sent to me, I was like, ooh, again, what we thought. Sis says, at the end of the day, we as a society have to learn from this, so we make sure it doesn't happen again. That is the absolute focal point of all of this. We got to stop this from happening over and over and over. Her life, it was too young for her to even come to the tragic unaliving that she did. And for all intents and purposes, he was young. His life is ruined, and he's young. And this all could have been prevented, I do think, from an earlier time if he wasn't subjected to homeschool. He's already told us, like, man, nobody checked on me. Nobody's like, man, you wasn't in school. So he's already feeling like he was unwanted. He was abandoned. And I'm not gonna go further into it because it's gonna tell, right? So we're gonna start that second 10 minutes, and hopefully we'll get closer to what I'm saying, as far as by them not giving him the attention where he sought that attention from, and how that all happened.
As the caption says, homeschool and being on social media 24/7 was not a good mix. In another post, he says his superpower is never being able to express my feelings properly because I was homeschooled and had no social life for 5 years. And on another, he says, I was homeschooled all my life. I never got to experience any school dances. When adolescents are denied normal peer socialization, the need for connection and belonging doesn't disappear. It finds alternative channels. In David's case, that channel was the internet, specifically Fortnite, YouTube, Discord, TikTok, and eventually music. During his homeschooled years, David describes Fortnite as his primary social environment.
He was
He
sheltered
engaged in squad fields,
and
which is where you're allowed
isolated.
to join games with strangers and talk to them if you have a headset and mic. And he allowed people to vent their personal problems to him.
Especially being homeschooled and not having a social life, right? So I'm on the game, I'm talking to all these random people, and they're talking to me about their life problems, using video games to escape the real world as much as I am, and then living my life vicariously through them and like writing songs about their lives.
Yeah.
I would go on Discord and I would go on Fortnite and I would go on like squad fills and I just let people talk to me and just tell me about their lives. Because like most of these people that play video games the same way I do, they're going to it as an escape. So I was just being an open door and an open outlet for like my peers and my friends to kind of just like vent to me about different things in their like personal lives and stuff like that.
And I'm like 15, 14 at this time, so I don't know how to like be a therapist, right? But it's like I'm taking this information and all these different people talking to me about different like problems and situations. I'm like, wow, this is really what humans are like. Like, these are humans.
The fact he says, wow, so this is what humans are like, these are humans, tells me that this was the only way David was understanding human psychology at that time. This is a clinically unusual developmental pathway. Normally, an adolescent's model of human behavior is built through direct, embodied, reciprocal experience,
Yeah, a
like
lot
friendship,
Ted
conflict,
Bundy.
romantic experience, loss, etc. But David built his model of human psychology through a parasocial and semi-anonymous listening role, absorbing other people's problems through a gaming headset. This produces a specific kind of social intelligence, highly observational, empathically competent on an intellectual level, but fundamentally disembodied. He understands humans like a researcher understands subjects, not as a participant understands his peers. And that's going to be significant when evaluating his later relational behavior. So he was chronically online, seemingly addicted to video games, but being home alone that much allowed him to stumble across much worse vices. Later, in his own Discord server, David disclosed a sustained pattern of consuming gore content beginning at approximately 14 years old.
Hold on. I know typically I don't do this. I let the 10 minutes play, but I want to say it. So he's already expressed to us, if y'all following along, he's already expressed that he's feeling socially inadequate. And that's causing problems. But now even on his Discord, he's leaving messages that I'm gonna be honest with you. If as parents, if we would actually maybe check into or tap into what our kids are going on websites, messaging stuff like that. If these things were seen, they may have been able to get out in front of it. It definitely screams something that needs attention that I think should have had immediate attention to it. But we got to remember, they're not paying attention to him. He's basically by himself. Not basically. He's by himself. Parents are not paying attention to him. Classmate, he doesn't go to school. He doesn't go to school, so classmates are not interacting with him. And now I want to put this in here before we start. Now you'll see he's starting to gravitate into the gore nature of things. We have two different emotions coming together, two different things coming together that is not good at all. They shouldn't even mix. He's lonely. He's feeling socially inadequate. And now he's liking the gore part. And this is a form of seeing someone else get hurt. And in some crazy way, I'm gonna tell you like this. I'm gonna say this and then I'll get back to it. I'm gonna use my experience. My kid's mother, God rest her soul, y'all know what she means to me, but she used to CUTT. She used to CUT herself. She's a CUTTER. She was. But and I could never understand why she would do that. And one night when we were having a serious talk, She was all right. She faced a lot of. She had some sexual assaults happen to her and things of that in her past, but she never got over that. So, and she told me when I was asking her, I'm like, baby, why you do that? Why you hurt yourself? And she said, hey, Sharita, what's up, bestie? To her, at least she can see the pain. She can see the cause of that pain. So, but when it's internal, when it's emotional, you can't tangibly see what's causing that pain. You know it's there, you feel it. And so now, by him watching all of these gore films and slasher films, stuff like that, now he gets to see other people hurt and be in pain. And in a way that you and I don't understand it, but to him, he can identify with that pain. And so now, by him, we'll just leave it right there. I'm gonna get too deep. We'll leave it right there.
Following the accidental exposure to a cartel execution video, gore is real-world violence and injury, fully uncensored, including death and murder, and he was discovering that and watching it repeatedly at 14 years old. He describes a progression from initial shock response to habituation, saying, "It got to the
Just
point
said
where
my
I don't
daughter
even cringe when I see it
did
anymore,"
it.
to then developing a
My daughter did.
dissociative
It
response,
releases the
claiming he
pain,
started laughing at
and
one
they can
point.
control
This then
it.
escalated to deliberate,
Unlike other
intentional
areas,
use.
that part
I
right
watch
there,
gore
I
to
hate
disconnect the
my
part
niece
of my
went through
brain that feels empathy
my
to
baby
the
mama
wrong
taught me
things.
a lot.
We have
My
something
kid's mother
called an
taught me a lot
amygdala,
with that.
which generates the brain's threat and disgust response to violence. Repeated exposure to graphic stimuli triggers habituation and desensitization. In simpler words, the threshold for what makes the brain want to cringe and look away rises because the stimulus is no longer threatening due to seeing it so much. What David describes in his Discord is consistent with this process in adolescents, whose prefrontal regulatory systems are still maturing and therefore less equipped to contextualize and contain
you,
the
Lori.
desensitizing effect. But what distinguishes David's disclosure from typical adolescent experimentation is that last
I
part.
appreciate
He
you,
doesn't
Bessie.
describe watching gore for entertainment or shock value. He describes it as an emotional engineering exercise, a deliberate attempt to modify his own empathic response. This level of intentionality about emotional desensitization in a 14-year-old is far from typical and represents a significant clinical signal. This would have been a major warning sign and red flag that David was gaining the ability to care less about human life. During that same isolated period, David developed an elaborate alter ego he called Itami, a Japanese word meaning pain.
I have this alter ego named Atami, which means pain in Japanese, and I'm heavily inspired by like anime and stuff like that. But that character that's in the music videos I make now was actually an idea that I had years before music even started, when I was writing my first comic book. And it was this detective that would solve his own crimes. So he was the good guy by day, and then at night he'd kind of transform into this alter ego and then commit crimes he'd solved the morning of.
But Itami isn't this artistic, creative concept he's come up with. David described it in multiple interviews as a character he intended to develop into his own manga, one who was explicitly him, a detective who committed murders and then investigated them himself.
Big part of that manga was an evil version of me, an agent of chaos and kind of my alter ego. And there was an evil version of myself that would kind of come out at random moments, kind of like Fight Club with Tyler Durden. And he would commit the crimes that I would have to solve as the detective. So like when I was as the detective, I'd be like solving murders that I'm committing myself.
Understand that there's a difference between normal fantasy and what David's doing. We all might fantasize here and there, maybe about obtaining a certain level of wealth or driving a certain car or whatever you guys care about. Escapist fantasy uses fictional scenarios to temporarily relieve stress and provide alternative experience. The psychological concept of fantasy elaboration, however, involves constructing increasingly detailed, immersive internal worlds in which the individual places themselves, not a character, but themselves, and which begin to function as a parallel framework for understanding identity and relationships. David explicitly inserted himself into this narrative. He is not the author of Itami. He's Itami's counterpart. They share an existence. He later described Itami as
the one that is weaving his way into my relationships and ruining them and inducing trauma and things like that.
This language suggests that the alter ego had become a psychological container for the parts of himself he wished to disown but had not eliminated. David transitioned into music accidentally in late 2021 after copyright strikes on his gaming content prompted his mother to suggest he create original music.
I started making music in like December 2021. I used to be a Fortnite YouTuber, bro. Like, it's so crazy. The only reason I started making music is because my videos got copyrighted. Because I was using like Scissors music, Justin Bieber music, all that. And my mom was like, yo, if you're getting copyright strike, you're not making no money, make your own song. So I was like, bro, I could probably do that.
Because of his ability, I know he's able to play and do. So I said, just make your own music. And that was that.
So I kept doing it. And then it kind of just became this thing where the music was getting more popular than the Fortnite videos. My SoundCloud numbers surpassed my Fortnite videos numbers. And it was out of here, bro.
He had no prior musical ambition. What he did have, though, was years of accumulated internal material. The Itami fantasy, the observational psychology built through online listening, the poetry he had written since 5th grade, and a set of emotional themes like isolation, romantic destruction, duality, that had no other outlet. Music gave that internal world a public form. It also gave it a socially legitimate one. Dark themes that are wrapped in musical craft don't register to us listeners as warning signs. They register as artistry. The same content that might raise concern if it was in a journal or a private communication is celebrated when it has a compelling melody behind it. David's own statements confirm that his early music was not drawn from lived experience, but from imagination and preparation.
When I write music about heartbreak, and the sad type of things, I write it not from experience because I was a really homebody. I was homeschooled. Like I didn't have much of a social outlet like that. I write it in like preparation. I feel like when you commit to love, you commit to devastation as well. I think it's a mixture of like trying to figure it out myself and then looking at other people's experiences. I mean, 'cause I've never experienced like true heartbreak either. So I write all these songs in preparation for it. So I'm not devastated, you know? So I know what to expect.
He describes writing about heartbreak in preparation, having never experienced it. He states directly, I love over-dramatized themes of romance because it would never be like this in real life.
I love over-dramatized themes of romance because it would never be like this in real life. So it allows you to like have more room to play around.
The thematic content of his early catalogue in 2022, like Bleed Out in March, Dirty Secrets in May, Romantic Homicide in July, centers on romantic destruction, hiding dark secrets, killing a romantic partner, and feeling no remorse. Romantic Homicide's central lyric, which David explains in detail in a Genius interview, is constructed specifically around the active first person. Not just you died, but I killed you. He stresses the first person agency.
Which was in the back of my mind, but then you think that I'm gonna say you died, but I say I killed you. So it's not like the thought of her is gone by itself was something that she did, it was something that I decided to do. And I killed her in the back of my mind.
He also describes the back of my mind as the location of this act, which is precisely where he has told us that his fantasy lives. His mother's reaction to Romantic Homicide is very ironic, but also significant.
I showed it to my mother, and she was like, that song's too violent and too sad. You're not releasing it. My son is not gonna be talking about killing people in music. And I was like, I'm gonna take that as a challenge, low-key. I played it for her in the car, and she was like, David, this song is too violent. You're talking about killing people in your music? No, not my son. I was like, wait, I might be onto something.
She identified something real in the content. He overrode her objection anyway and released it.
All right, we're going to start right there. We just reached the second 10 minutes. But there's a few things that stood out in that segment to me. And they hit close to home. I mean, not hit close to home, but they make me want to stop and really
Dissect it.
dissect it. Yeah. Like his mom. How you doing, niece, by the way?
Hey.
His mom told him or suggested for him to write music. I appreciate that encouragement. Like, I think that's great for her to do that. However, when she told him to do that, and he did do that, and then she heard the type of music it was, that's where I think, even because she's already missed the fact that he feels alienated, the fact that he feels like he's not good enough, he doesn't have any social interacting with people. She missed all that. Now he's at a point now, just from that, he's at a point now where he's let us know that he's creating fictional characters in his mind. And one of the main fictional characters is a guy who goes out, unalives people, and then he's supposed to solve it, right? Right. So it's like it's not. That's not the same as you outside playing Cowboys and Indians. That's not the same thing. It's not the same thing as us playing police and stuff like that. It's not the same thing. It's more sinister.
Yeah, like you the one doing the crime, and you trying to, and you magically, excuse me, get amnesia and try to solve your crime yourself.
That's not right. That's not normal. It's not like it screams that there's some kind of psychological help needed. Right now, the fact that she didn't do that, niece. They didn't. I said she. I'm blaming his mom, his parents. They didn't catch up on that. They didn't. They didn't pay attention to him because he's homeschooled. He's isolated. He's by himself. Now he's writing a song about unaliving people, and the mom heard that, and I feel like that should have stood out to her or stopped her enough to say, "Hey, where are you getting these thoughts from as song title?" You know, Brooke. I think it says Brooke says loneliness epidemic affecting 170 million Americans with 0 to 2 friends. Yeah, and that's not a good thing.
Hmm.
That's
That
not a
is so
good thing.
true.
Yeah. So now in hearing those things, and then the part where he says the fact that he unalive the girlfriend in the song or whatnot, right? The fact that he's saying I did it, I unalived you. So that shows us that not only does he have these thoughts, but he also likes to be in control. It's a possessive thing. You see what I'm saying? All of these factors are not uh, a good thing to have.
Mm-mm.
You know, Brooke.
It's signs, the signs that he got from like listening to like him talk and like what we discuss. It's like some type of like bipolar or schizophrenia. Like he has multiple personalities. He has like a multiple personality disorder.
Right, right. Okay, Brooke, come on up. I know you said you can only stay a couple of minutes. Okay, go ahead. It's on you.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for having me, and I appreciate the chance. I put a lot of things in the chat. I'm a former reference librarian who's deeply studied spirituality, psychology, and the arts, and I have a ton of life experience to back it up. So, unlike a lot of these therapists that talk this thing and they know nothing about divorce, parental alienation, and a lot of other things that are going on in America, in the white community, whatever that means, because like white people don't really have a culture, speaking as one and also speaking as someone who has a diverse family with other populations by blood that I'm related to, without going too deeply into that.
Got you.
If we have, so and I sing in a gospel choir. I trained at Second City. Max was in the music business and jazz, so doing a lot of things that most white people don't do. We don't know how to dress. They don't know how to talk feelings and emotions. So what's happening is this loneliness epidemic that it's not just men, it is men and women. It's half the country. I'm in it. 170 million of us, as stated by our former U.S. Surgeon General, the lovely Dr. Vivek Murthy, with a THY, so not Irish, but Indo-Pac, lovely, says half of us have 0 to 2 friends. If that's the case, how do you have meaning, passion, and purpose? How do you be loved, laid, and paid? How do you make a friend? How do you get a job? How do you find work? How do you fall in love? And then, if that's not even bad enough already, Scott Galloway at Columbia University with the researcher Esther Perel is saying on a YouTube clip short, we are literally planning extinction. So what this looks like, because the Epstein files, because of the 60 million hits to one website, where white men, mostly, and I have to call this out, because they're a huge danger, not just to me, but all of society, that those of us that care about you, because my line is simple. You're either a loving person or you're a hateful POS. I don't care what the outside package is. I didn't pick to be white. I didn't pick to be spiritual. But I learned from my grandfather, who was a doctor, as a very young child, back when there were segregated Chicago neighborhoods. He treated you regardless of color or ability to pay. Who does that? Who does that? So now I have black cousins. I have Jewish. My kids are part Jewish. I have Iraqi cousins, Native American cousins, a lot of things, and related by blood. But at the end of the day, you like what you like, and if we cannot learn to play together, and this is starting with the ability to read human energy. I'm not going to apologize for all these a-hole white people. There's a ton of them, and I know, being on the inside of singing in a gospel choir, there's a lot of people like I fully understand why many people who are black don't trust any person, not even me, that they're not even reading my energy. I'm just in the file 13. But here's the deal. White men, because they're not being doing horizontal activities in soft places. The reason why the white community has such a gun problem and they're pushing it off on, people DWB is because they're not having sex. And when I bring this up on white panels, this is where it goes.
Hold on,
it goes
hold on one second, Brooke. I hate to interrupt you, but okay, so when you say, let's say pew pew instead of the GUN, and then when you
I'm so sorry.
it's
Yeah,
okay.
Schmex.
Smecks
Thank
is
you.
for the other.
Yeah. I'm so sorry. I'm not trying to.
You're just being real. You just being real. Go ahead.
Yeah. But this is, I have to get this out to other communities, and I'm getting all red in the face right now because I feel like I screwed up. I'm not blaming you, but I feel ashamed, like I did something dirty or whatever. But if white men are not having schmecks, and we white women, there's millions of us, we're like, we'll leave the country, we'll go 4B, we'll be nuns, we are not doing that with you. MAGA, Trump, Satan, Yahoo, you're out. And I'm hotly attracted to Jewish men. But this thing in Gaza has my hair on fire right now. So because they're not mostly having schmecks, they want a grape. There's a huge P3PO population in the U.S. 1 in 3 to 1 in 4 women are DV survivors. I am. Had my kids turned against me. And so, and I was a children's librarian. So I'm seeing like people are regular prostitutes, child beaters, they're fine with their kids, and here my kids don't like it because I'm not with their father. But be that as it may, and that's a whole other story. But the long and short is these men think that they can just get schmecks and they don't know how to talk to women. Now, I did a huge sample size talking to people all around Chicago. Wealthy people, not wealthy, educated, not educated, good looking, so. People are going 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, no schmecks, no intimacy at all. And so where does that schmectual energy go? It goes to 2A rights, and you want to take out a population because you don't know how to talk to chicks. Now, if I ask any Jewish man that I'm hotly attracted to, or just any man at all, black men and Jewish men, this is what their answer is every single time without missing a beat. We don't have that problem. And I look back at them and I go, I know you don't have that problem because you know how to talk to women. So if we don't solve the problem of I like root causes. And my father-in-law, when I was married, he was up for the Nobel in physics. So I got to be around big brains, got my butt kicked a lot. And the reason I'm getting this stuff out is because these people train me how to think. You know what I mean? You're around the Harvard of the Midwest for 25 years. You learn how to not get your butt handed to you again. You learn how to scoop. But so the problem is across America, everything's funded by zip code. Your property taxes fund what kind of school your kids go to. My kids' school, public school, is funded at private school rates. I am in the place where the reparations for black people started. Now, one day my son calls me and he says, the opposite school to him, Mom, they have not just rowing, they have sushi on their cafeteria line. I'm like, I don't want to say my son's name, but it's a whole different thing. So people are in food, education, transportation, news, health, mental health, and environmental desert, which affects the vote. It affects mate selection. It affects what kind of friends you have. And in white people's society, the reason that Trump and Lutnick and all these other pieces of royal crap are there, they're cheating. The whole system is rigged, and our former City of Chicago Mayor, Rahm Emanuel, I love to pieces, and was Obama's chief of staff, said it's rigged. They're getting ahead through, at the top of everything, on top of money laundering, rug dealing, human trafficking, schmeck trafficking, and for-profit prisons, picking up people DWB, it's selling women's cookie. That's beyond beyond everything else because white men can't get any. Because how you talk to me, you have my list. This is my list, and I feel like this is a good template off after all the hell I went through. Empathy, emotional intelligence, spiritual groundedness, a conscience, a code of conduct, shared values, ability to problem solve, creativity, and improvisation, because life is not a straight path. Now, what I also know, and I'll land with this, most men see schmacks as a massage, and all they want is the cookie. Now, on the other end of that is a woman. There's 8,000 nerve endings from our lady parts to our hearts. So you see, as a man, this is white men, and this really pisses me the F off. Today's the Porsche, tomorrow's the Maserati, the next day's the Bentley. In other words, women are like cars. You just throw it out like Chinese or Russian takeout. This is what's going on across America. 1 in 3 to 1 in 4 people, and especially white people, there's a ton of domestic violence. We don't have a culture because it's all appropriated, colonized. We steal from people of color, the clothing, the music, the food, all the things. And you want a white society? I will move out of the country if that's what it is. Because I'm not going to have no community, no culture, and all the things. So America is literally, when I talk to people from Europe, from Africa, from Muslim countries, all the places, I get around because Americans are usually too dumb for me and not introspective. We have big box stores, right? We have big box stores and shitty education. Here's what I want. I want Thai food. I want Chicago Step-In. I want Quincy Jones, Hubert Laws, Wes Montgomery, good stuff. My ex was in the music business playing with the greats of jazz. I sing in a gospel choir. We need to learn to do call and response. And the last thing I'll say is, if we can't build an underground Harriet Tubman Railroad network with community potlucks, community gardens, community murals, live music, and live theater that are just about safe people, loving people, eradicating racism and financial racism, we're screwed. We have no culture here. It's effed up every which way. And that's the damn truth.
Let's brook it up. That's amazing. I love that. Thank you so much for putting that on the table. I gave you a follow, by the way.
And I just gave you a follow. Can I say one last thing? And this,
absolutely.
I trained at Second City, and I am not trying to be, and I wasn't on the main stage or anything. I was at the point where I was about to mount a show, and then some things happened, blah, blah, blah. But if I was to describe to somebody who didn't know America, this is what I would say. I would say it's the Stepford Wives in the Truman Show with 9 perfect strangers in the Twilight Zone on Groundhog Day, getting dangerously close to Mad Max Thunderdome. I'm not trying to be funny, but everybody who hears me say that...
That's a perfect description.
Right,
that's a perfect description. I'm sorry, I had to come off mute. That's a perfect...
I like the call and response, and then I start bringing in, if I could step across the line, but I need permission from the host because I don't want to be put in the box of like, okay, there's that white lady. So I need permission to say something that could be... I'm right now, and I have to be careful because, like, everybody, what I say and what I mean and how it's interpreted when I go across the line, the color line, people are like, go back to your people. I don't have any white friends right now. I was bringing Black Mama energy because I am effing pissed off. You are making it so that if I'm looking at live backwards, you're telling me I can't have friends, I can't have community, and I'm not going to be loved, laid, and paid with a meaning, passion, and purpose. I'm pissed off. And there's a lot of women around the world. We can't have an intimate partnership because these white men, especially the ones that I'm attracted to, they're like screwing around.
Mm-hmm.
I just like flabbergasted. So like I hear Javier Bardem in Spain saying the truth about men with this Spanish accent. I want to follow this man around all day long. Like, you like what you like. I happen to like Jewish men usually, but I'm like, okay, well, could he be Spanish? Could he be Muslim? I don't know.
Right, but you like it. That's how I love how you said that. You can't. Who you like is who you like. But at the end of the day, being equal is what's going to get us through. And I love how you put that. I really do.
Right. Right. Well, I really want to make like a United Nations with people, but I know, like, on the other end, there's a lot of people that look like me that I don't trust them. We don't talk to them, and then there's the only good that's coming out of this is that women are finally talking to each other because usually in white culture, women hate each other, especially pretty women. We have no friends.
Mhm.
We have no friends there because there isn't the Black Baptist Church. They're all trying to get a man. It's all about schmecks. How do we get it? You're mostly not having schmecks. You're mostly talking and doing activities. You want to have great schmecks? Be a nice person to other races. Be a spiritual person. Or it's never going to work. Have a little humor. Get a little spicy, a little hot. But without, like, I would not ever want to cross the line to say something that would be racist or hurt somebody's feelings. If I knew, like what I just said, one of the things I just said, I can't say that in certain rooms because because of the where it's coming from, and I'm going to be judged on how I look, and it's going to be seen as, I'm a whatever, a certain character, and that I learned something different.
Well, brook it up. Let me. This is your first time here. I don't think I've ever seen you in a live before. So
Yeah.
let me let you know this is a safe space. This is we don't do none of that right there. Hold on, Nick. Mark, put you on
Appreciate
mute
it.
real quick.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's all right.
Okay.
Uh, th- Here's a safe space. This is what we pride ourselves on. This is like our what? It's fourth account.
Well, I appreciate it. I mean, I'm in Chicago, and usually, like out on the streets, people don't talk to each other. They do what I call casket face, or some people call RBF. Like, how, like, if you men are trying to get something going on with somebody, you got to be able to, like, look at me. I'm not going to, at my age, women, we don't, it will be completely inappropriate and not ladylike. I'm going to approach a man. I'm going to do a 50-50 date. No, I'm not doing any of that.
I feel you on that. You got to have some type of charisma to you, some type of character in order to get that.
Yes.
You
Yes.
know, I'm with you. I appreciate you coming on. I really do. Please come back.
I appreciate you too. And there's a guy you should follow, my friend Santiago, who's Puerto Rican. This dude, he's from New York and he's got it going on. And there's another one, JP Tarawa. I can put it in the comments. He is a Native American healer. And these people are bringing together, and then finally my friend Ahmed, who's brought together a population of Muslims, but they're like in Egypt and other places. These are people that are crossing cultures where we're not like, how do I want to say this? We're not staying in our box because otherwise Trump, MAGA, and Satan Yahoo win. Their goal is to try, okay, now it's a man-woman issue. Okay, Islamophobia. Okay, black-white. Okay, now get the whites to hate each other. So in the same way that you all within the black community have problems, white people don't even talk to each other. They don't know how to express, so they're spiritually, emotionally, and schmexually repressed. And so it's going to 50,000 mass unalivings because white people aren't having schmecks. I'm not even, that's the truth.
That's crazy.
Well, that explains a lot of unalivings.
Yeah.
Right.
Especially from the administration too standpoint.
There's massive mental health issues, and all you have to say is, like, I know from talking to a lot of you all that they think that somehow if their birth rates go down, or I decide, look, I'm going to be with, Keegan Michael Key, a black man, let's say I could get him or whatever. They're worried and they think that they're going to be abused and that black people are going to do the same thing to white people that white people did to black people. And I know that's not true because from a spiritual perspective, why would, like me as a spiritual person, why would I want to drink that poison? Because then you become that. But these idiots, they don't know.
My thing is with that situation there, if that's something that us as black people was gonna do, we would have been did it a long time ago. But
Hello?
it's gonna keep being pushed to the point where Now it can possibly happen because you don't know how to back off. How many times I gotta tell you to chill out?
Right. Well, the other piece that I see too, Doc, is that people don't know how to read human energy. So when I'm talking to my friend Ahmed about the Islamophobia, in order to cross cultural lines, we have to make ourselves sort of camouflage a little bit. So if our voices, our dress, the smell of our clothing, all the things feel like, oh, this doesn't fit here, this puzzle piece doesn't fit. And I'm not saying not to be you. I'm not saying that. But I know that when I've been around extremely uptight white people in the top classes of society, they didn't like me having me around because I'm like, you all are doing criminal behavior. And I'm sending out
Calling
an
them out on
energy.
their
I'm gonna
stuff.
get Yeah, so I got thrown out of a place because I knew what these people were up to. You are trafficking in schmecks and rugs, and you're laundering. I didn't have to say one word out my mouth, but as a spiritual person, they
They
didn't
felt
effing
the energy. They
because
felt the energy.
yeah, I had that energy. Like I would come in this room, and this guy was sexy AF. Every time I would come in that room, a whole table would move out. Finally, after years of going to this place, they had outdoor seating and heating, and I take my coat off. It's a film festival coat. I'm accused of like how I'm sitting. My leg is against the brick wall, not even on furniture. Of sitting inappropriately and taking my clothes off. I took my film festival coat off because the heat that was coming down was so bad. The reason that happened, I was reading their energy. They didn't like that. And one day a guy said, my father, this rich white dude, says, used to be a criminal. Now, why would you tell me that? What do you think I'm going to be thinking? Because white people don't, we're not usually around that kind of talk at all. But
Right.
I've met a bunch of these dudes.
I would
Okay,
think you telling me your dad used to be a criminal, possibly too. What you gonna do to me?
right. So I'm seeing all this, and I'm sitting at the same place, and I'm offered 5,000 a week. This is where the billionaires go, by the way. And another time, something else happens. Something ends up in my drink, if you know what I'm saying.
Hmm.
Okay, and
Mm,
things happen. And I like this person. I trusted this person. And if you knew the
mm.
location of where it happened, it wasn't where you think it happened. You'd be like, how could it ever happen there?
That's usually how I go down.
The least likely place that you think it wouldn't happen
So guess where the
be
place
the
was that it happened?
Where?
Take a guess.
In a rich or in the uppity neighborhood.
My own house. Someone did it to me in
mm,
my own house.
Ah,
mm, the place you're supposed to feel the most safest.
Yep.
you didn't let this person back
Mm.
around you, right?
Well, they left the country, and they were like th- all the attributes. They look perfectly polished, very wealthy, white. You would not suspect any chinks in the armor at all. So what you think a trafficker or somebody who's doing that kind of stuff, it doesn't look anything like what people think, because in order to get that whatever cookie, they're gonna look like they blend in.
A certain kind of way.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's a diversion.
And then I saw other men in real estate development doing this with girls, like from other backgrounds. I was like, whoa,
Hmm.
what are you doing? They are so starving for schmecks because they don't understand the emotional spiritual.
Yeah, I'm definitely
They're,
can see the actions coming from the cabinet now that we have in office that
I
they
mean, all
told
of
they
them.
talk about that all the time. Like, yeah, it's I don't know. I don't know what their fascination is with it, but yeah, I think you just put it on the table.
Control. It's control.
Yeah.
It's not just control. They when they say they're air quotes going to work or they're going to a golf game, think maybe they're getting laid by like
To cover up.
they're they are doing they're involved in high substance use and schmecks. So they put off this polished look. So like Hegseth, Howard Lutnick, Mike Johnson, all these people. It's the same. Pam Bondi, Christy Nome. Bad decision. So you don't want me because I don't have that money. But my brains are bigger. They're bigger than your bank accounts because of who I've been around. And I'm not trying to say I'm so great. I want to help people. But if you won't hire someone who has less money because you are only you get to these positions of power, I'm realizing now, through compromat. And compromat is a Russian word that I learned a few months ago that means this. It means you have to do something bad or dirty to get to that money and power. So, right? So they roll out a fleet, yep, Doc, a fleet of women and children in their daily political and business deals. It's at universities. There's still a guy, and it's in schools. They work with the police. These billionaires work with the police to throw shade on black people. And I've seen it up close. They think they're so slick and I can't read their energy. And now I'm realizing that I'm following, there's a few people on here, Michelle Welsh, who's a lawyer. She owned 3 law firms. She's an intuitive. She works with police departments to solve cases. So I'm learning from her how to do this stuff. If you're around people where my stomach will start to hurt, I'll get a chest pain, hairs will go up on the back of my neck. And if I tell
That's
you,
your intuition. That's your
right,
intuition kicking in. Your
right.
discernment.
Exactly. And men are not listening to that. They think my ex-husband would say, you're crazy, you're stupid, you don't look like a woman, you're all the things. Yeah, because you're gay. That's why you would say that, because any, virile man is not. Yeah, so I had another turn, but it was horrible. But the long and short is the whole government is corrupt. We've been taken over by transnational crime. And I'm not against immigrants, but I have to preface, I don't care why you're here, you get due process. People who are immigrants are here, they're doing high level jobs like doctor or lawyers, but they're also watching kids, picking vegetables, cutting lawn, all the things. And they're paying taxes. But here's the things, the Mexican cartels, as shown by the Drug Enforcement Agency map, are in every city in America. There's 8. Then there's the Jewish mob and the Italian mob. They've taken over this country. And there's only one way out of this, and that is this. And I've studied this from every angle that I can possibly. We have to not go to work, not go to school, and not shop. They are counting on you.
Economical.
You gotta hit the yup. You about to say that you gotta hit them where it hurts, and that's where it hurts. They wallets. So if everybody stop going to work and everybody stop paying their rent, paying their bills, stop buying groceries, buying their own seeds, growing their own food, they'll be done.
Get off the thing. And so what I've done is I've gone to
close it out real quick. I gotta go on, but I'm gonna let you close it out right here, Brooke.
Oh, sure. You can forage for food, and there's certain things like you can look for mushrooms that are safe mushrooms. I've picked pine needles. You can make pine needle tea. You have to know what you're picking. It actually tastes very sweet. It does not taste like pine salt. But things like that, or clothing swaps. We have love fridges in my town where you just drop food off. There's like a refrigerator, no questions asked, and then a little food pantry. If you start brainstorming more and more ways, and you look at now, we're literally at a point where food can get grabbed out of the air. I'm not joking. So I said in my past life, my father-in-law was a scientist. But there's a company called airprotein.com, black scientist from NASA, Dr. Lisa Dyson. They're able to grab carbon molecules out of the air that can make chicken, fish, eggs, all this stuff. But you need a lot of power. You need a hermetically sealed environment. It's not something that could quickly scale. But if the Strait of Hormuz stays closed, we have no fertilizer. It will mean unaliving of like 2 billion people. So somehow it is, because that's where most of the fertilizer comes through. So if we say, okay, well, I'm a white person, I can't hang with black people or Muslim people, or I can't hang with men because you're a man hater or whatever, my daughter would say, what's your deal? All that's going to happen is Trump gets their way, the cash register goes ka-ching, ka-ching, their promulgating hate. I want people to have meaning, passion, and purpose, get loved, laid, and paid. I don't care what color you are. I don't care how old, none of that. I'll end there.
I appreciate it. We're gonna move on, but hey, like I said, you're welcome anytime. All right, and y'all make sure y'all W our lady Brooke it up. All right, welcome back to hashtag. I'm gonna say it. We here usually at 10 a.m. We usually do shows. This week it's a little bit off because it's the end of school. But like I said, whenever you see a song, you're more than welcome to come on in.
I would love to, and I really, my end goal is really to help people out. I'm rebuilding my life. I'm looking for business opportunities for friends and love, but it's got to come out of ethics. And whatever I can do to bring people together, I'm going to do it.
Okay, I appreciate it. Y'all give it up for Brooke.
Thanks, guys. I'll drop.
Okay, I got you. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. You're welcome.
She found her life purpose. That's amazing.
Yeah,
A lot of people live their life and they don't know what their life purpose is. That's amazing.
I love she's for everybody. I love that. I love that. All right, y'all. We're gonna move on to our third 10-minute segment of this audio right quick. And then, like I said, we'll pause it after that.
And that song was the one that became his commercial breakthrough. The commercial success of Romantic Homicide is a pivotal moment in the psychology trajectory. David didn't receive any social correction for expressing violent romantic fantasy. He received validation, streams, a record deal with Interscope, and multi-million-dollar career momentum.
I get the first email from the labels. I showed them. I'm like, all right, my mom has to hear about this now. I was like, there's no way I can like sweep this under the rug. I'm getting really famous right now. And then I meet with Interscope, who I eventually signed with, and I meet on my team, Mogul Vision for management, that I signed on management. And then at that point, it was just time to push the button.
From a behavioral reinforcement standpoint, this is near optimal conditioning. The behavior, which was externalizing dark fantasy through art, produced the outcome most desired by someone with his developmental history, which was belonging, recognition, status, and the experience of being known without truly being seen. Because not only did he blow up in music, but that coincided with social media fame, like TikTok, where he got tons of engagement. But looking back on that, those fans were engaging with someone who wasn't even their true self, and who never took the mask off.
I got me as the artist, David, D4VD, Itami, which is the antagonist. He was the blindfold. My gaming character is coming soon. He is like the one that's super tech savvy and stuff like that. And then my social media persona, which is also
multiple personality disorder.
He constructed an entire identity architecture around himself with those four defined personas: David the artist, Itami the antagonist, a gaming persona, and a social media persona, none of which were David Anthony Burke. The actual self was not among them. What researchers describe as identity diffusion, where the boundary between constructed persona and authentic self becomes genuinely unclear, appears to be happening here. The masks were not overlaid on a stable self, they may have become the primary mode of self-experience. So David from early on learned how to switch between characters. In private, he could be this antisocial kid with dark fantasies. In interviews, he could sound smart and sophisticated. And on TikTok, he could do his best to be relatable and goofy to his audience. That ability to switch became something that we now potentially know might have helped him deal with the consequences of his future actions. According to prosecution documents, David and Celeste Rivas Hernandez first made contact online in January 2022 when she was 11 years old and he was 16. This reportedly happened on Fortnite, which would be consistent with how David got his social interaction when he was homeschooled. The prosecution documents confirm a physical relationship began in November 2023 when Celeste was 13 and David was 18, so they knew each other online for almost 2 years before ever becoming intimate. This is purely my opinion based on available context and evidence, but I don't believe David sought out Celeste in a predatory form, looking for a minor specifically because that's what physically attracted him. The fact he was only 16 at the time and was being homeschooled makes it completely plausible that the relationship began as some kind of intense online companionship, where he was just happy to talk to someone, with age not being one of his concerns. I believe they started off as friends who confided in each other, made jokes, and wasn't started off in any inappropriate nature. What changed it is the question. The evidence that the prosecution are bringing forward documents a pattern that David was grooming Celeste in stages that got gradually more intense. The first thing he did was make her feel special. He released a Romantic Homicide music video on Celeste's birthday.
I'll
He
be
then
right
recorded
back,
a
y'all.
song
I'm gonna go check
titled
on
Celeste
Ruby
in
real
December
quick.
2023,
Okay.
expressing deep personal obsession, and he continually maintained her presence in his Discord server. The song Celeste references the girl with my name tattooed on her chest, a detail that subsequently materialized in reality when Celeste had his name tattooed on her finger and shared it in the Discord server in July 2024. He also never publicly posted her on social media, but would post pictures where she's present but not identifiable, or captioning posts referencing having a girlfriend to show his fans he was in a relationship, which gave his romantic music credibility. Another thing he did was use financial control. Prosecution documents confirmed that after Celeste's parents removed her phone from her in February 2024, David drove to Lake Elsinore, where she lives, and paid a classmate $1,000 to provide Celeste with a new phone he had purchased so that they could maintain contact. This was done after law enforcement had directly informed him that she was a 13-year-old runaway. Despite her parents and law enforcement trying to stop David from connecting with her, he chose to go around them anyway. He then isolated her from her family and support system. There's debate on whether Celeste had the best home life in the first place, but David definitely capitalized on that and took advantage of her vulnerability. Throughout 2024, the prosecution documents confirmed that Celeste spent significant time at David's Hollywood Hills residence, accompanied him to Las Vegas, London, and Texas, and was repeatedly reported missing by her family. This pattern of running away is consistent with successful grooming. The victim's primary attachment has been displaced towards the perpetrator. David had become the new safe place in her eyes, which is really sad to think about in hindsight. Another thing David desired was surveillance and control. It could be for humor purposes, so take it as context rather than fact, but in January 2024, after they'd started a physical relationship, he posted TikTok with the text on the screen implying a partner telling him that she will swallow an AirTag so he gets to know her every move. It seems playful on the surface, but with the context we have, he's describing a desire for a constant location surveillance over a minor. On January 11th, 2024, David did a Twitch stream, but he had Celeste in full view of his audience, right there in plain sight. She was wearing a hoodie and glasses to perhaps conceal suggestions at her age, and they seemed to be doing a cooking stream.
Season it? It's already seasoned, bro. It's Alfredo.
I'm yet to find the full stream, but something gets said beforehand, and the comments start saying things like, "Pray for his career, chat. You're done for, bro. Nah, you going on the Epstein list. There's no escaping this, bro. Caught you in 4K. All messages that allude to the chat realizing that David is allegedly. David reads these comments out aloud and questions Celeste. Are we done? To which Celeste says, we need to delete this.
Pray for his career, chat. Are we done? Are we?
We need to delete this.
Are we? Maz, can we delete all VODs? And then as soon as the stream ends, delete the stream too? Can we delete anything? You done for, bro? Y'all are not done? Now you going to Epstein? Yo, wait.
You see the instant panic in David because he's tried to keep this relationship a secret, and this was the closest he'd gotten to being exposed. The chat continues with David and Celeste Island trip and David Epstein flight list. But something else gets said, and David puts his hand firmly on Celeste's shoulder and says, I media trained you. To which she replies, no, you didn't.
Media
I personally don't.
Yo, I media trained you.
No, you didn't.
He says that's controversial, and she questions him with something that almost exposed his secret to the world.
That's controversial.
It's controversial of kids.
Really good.
Okay,
It's been a good one.
Bye, guys.
Mwah. Oh my! Delete everything. Delete everything. Everything goes.
She seemingly regrets saying it straight away, and David ends the stream. Of course, I have to preface that streaming clips get taken out of context all the time. What we don't know is what was actually said beforehand, and the chat could have been referencing something completely different. But what we do know is that David was making attempts to media train Celeste, in his own words. Due to him understanding what he was doing was wrong, this is an attempt at power control, because by giving her instructions on how to act, she's molded to become more obedient. It's crazy that this Twitch stream is almost a mirror of what the prosecution are alleging David did to Celeste over a year later. When he was on the verge of getting exposed, he tells his mods to delete everything, to physically discard of the evidence so that no one can find out the truth. He did what he needed to maintain control over the narrative, and panics when there's a risk of the mask slipping. Prosecution documents state that Celeste and David broke up in November 2024, though text messages confirm a continued contact through to at least March 2025. The documented text exchanges describe Celeste growing distress at the nature of their relationship. She messaged, according to prosecution filings, "All we do is have sex and just hang out, man. I want more than that for myself." If you notice, the prosecution frames this as evidence of David's manipulation. This is because of the context that is supposedly surrounding this message. The prosecution's argument is that David had deliberately led her to believe that they had some sort of future together, that she was his girlfriend, his partner, someone he was building something with, specifically in order to maintain physical access to her and her silence. She was emotionally invested in a future I don't think he actually planned to give her. Now, before we proceed, I have to reiterate, because I know how soft the YouTube guidelines are when it comes to active cases and demonetization, but David is only alleged to have murdered Celeste Rivas Hernandez and has pleaded not guilty. So take what I say next as opinion, as rumors, as theory, but not fact, because his behavior over 2025, if not guilty of the murder, just looks like normal behavior. But that's also the problem if he is guilty, because only a psychopath could do what's been done to Celeste and go about life as normal. On the night of April 22nd, 2025, prosecution documents describe a lengthy argument conducted over text messages. Celeste had become aware of David's relationships with other women. Although they supposedly weren't in a relationship anymore, this triggered Celeste, and she threatened to expose their relationship publicly and destroy his music career. His debut studio album, Withered, was scheduled for release April 25th, 2025, so 3 days later. On top of that, he had a multi-million-dollar career, active endorsements, and a world tour booked. The prosecution alleges that at approximately 8:40 p.m. on April 23rd, 2025, David ordered an Uber to transport Celeste from her Lake Elsinore home to his Hollywood Hills residence.
We're going to pause it right there. We're like a minute over, well, not a minute, but almost half. I don't know. Anyways, I want to welcome Foot to the panel. My brother, how are you doing today?
Doing good, my brother. I was just listening to the forum you had going today about this young man out there in California. Unfortunately, that young lady that lost her life, was unalive, and my feelings about it. It's this has been going on so long. This is nothing new. Same, I tell people this all the time. Same beat, different lyrics. These children have been exploited so long, including out there in Hollyweird, the Corey Hames, the Corey Feldmans, the McCalkin brothers, the Webster, Gary Coleman, the Hemingway sisters, Drew Barrymore, the Jacksons. They put it in your face, and all of a sudden, the only reason it's waking up now is because we're in a digital world. And the sick part is that they're still throwing in American, worldwide people's face with these you remember JonBenet Ramsey, but yet you still have these idiot parents who want to have their children out there exploiting, doing the fan dance, America's Got Talent, the children's shows. You got these sickos watching this, and you're putting your kids out there exploiting them for a dead, unalive man on a green dollar.
Crazy, isn't it? That's crazy, man.
And now here we got David, who threw it in your face, but you still had fans. Come on, man.
That's all it's for. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's different levels. What society has done in the media shows the little guy on his PC and says they're a SA, but they don't show that executive of a record company. They don't show that executive of a major corporation. And they're even small time. And it's just, I heard somebody mention saying it was the people south of the border. It's just not them. We're talking worldwide. We have it it's in the Hasidic communities. It's in certain communities, even with religion. But nobody's listening. They still keep putting their children out there. Ooh, my baby can dance, or my baby can sing, or, yeah, you can go with them on that field trip.
I was just about to say that. Yeah, you're right. It's even more crazy. That's
you can go with Auntie JoJo to the birthday party, not knowing, Uncle Jimmy from the other girl's family's there.
Creepy, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So how do we fix it? You know what? It might sound a little egregious, and I'm going to land soon. I've been to countries where you're dispatched right there on the spot. Right there on the spot. Ain't no 10-year appeals. It ain't no. We caught you in the act. You done. You done. But yet we want to look at these countries and say, well, they have these different laws and that's hostile. No, it's not. No, it's not. You read that. It's not in the book that you read, because that eye for an eye was way before the Christian Bible. People don't do their research. But we call that archaic. We want to give somebody a needle and all that nonsense and get, nah. You want to put them away for 10, 20 years, let them out. These people get more preferential treatment while locked up than a person that did something than a street burglar. And one last thing, if it comes down to survival society, I don't care about what kind of backpacks you got in your basement and what kind of food you got to eat, because I know who I'm going to be without on the streets if it comes down to that. And that's the homeless, because they know how to survive. They know how not to have food for 3 or 4 days. You got people, nothing toward the people on the panel. You got people out here who complain just going out the door saying it's cold. Well, you try sitting down there in Fort Sherman when we was open in Panama, sat there for 7 days with just your pew K-bar compass and a map. You're lucky if you had a map.
Well,
out there with everything that crawl around you can unalive you. But you worry about it's too cold out here. Sit out there. Homeless people do it every day. Because I know 70% of y'all gonna be eradicated. I ain't gotta worry about y'all. Because you can't wear your Jordans out there in the jungle. But anyway, this David guy, he's gonna get everything he deserves. But there's more on top of him. There's other people with him. It's complicity. I land my plane.
My brother, let's give it up in W Foot. I appreciate that, brother. All right, so we're gonna go back to the 4. We're gonna go to the 4 10 minutes. All right.
She arrived at approximately just after 10 p.m.
Okay, yeah, let me make sure I put y'all where we at now. Now, David has called a Lyft, Uber, whatever, taxi, however, whatever it is. Put it like this. He has arranged transportation for Celeste to come from her home to his house, his residence. We're going to pick it up from there.
The prosecution alleges that shortly after her arrival, David stabbed her multiple times and stood by while she bled out, making no attempt to call emergency services. At approximately 11:30 p.m., he drove north on the 101 freeway to Santa Barbara County, texting and calling Celeste's phone as he drove, a pattern the prosecution characterizes as a deliberate attempt at a cover story. He returned home early on April 24th, went to a radio interview for the album, and attended the album release party later that evening. The prosecution then documents evidence of David's poor attempt at concealing the crime and dismembering her body, which he then left in the front trunk of his Tesla.
Burke placed her body in the inflatable pool he'd ordered to prevent her blood from spilling onto his garage floor and used a chainsaw to cut off her limbs.
Surveillance footage confirms David drove his Tesla for the last time on July 29, 2025, before parking it on Bluebird Avenue in Hollywood Hills and departing for his concert tour. And this is the alleged story we have so far on how David potentially murdered Celeste and then continued with life like nothing happened. The following analysis I'll give is based on if the evidence presented by the prosecution is factual and proven, and is just my opinion. But the first thing that I believe to be true is that David demonstrates a dark triad personality. The dark triad is a mix of 3 personality constructs: narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy, identified in psychological literature as co-occurring and collectively associated with manipulative, exploitative, and callous interpersonal behavior. And I believe all 3 appear relevant to David's documented behavioral profile. Narcissistic personality disorder, or NPD, is characterized by grandiosity, a persistent need for admiration, entitlement, and a lack of genuine empathy. Subclinical narcissistic traits, which don't meet the full diagnostic threshold but are clinically meaningful, are observable in David's behavior across multiple domains. The construction of an elaborate multi-persona identity architecture, the use of a child as a participant in his artistic and fantasy world, the apparent expectation that normal rules, including the laws, didn't apply to him, and the documented use of financial resources to purchase compliance from multiple parties, like Celeste's classmates and potentially others, rather than just accepting social or legal constraints. He continued pursuit of Celeste after direct law enforcement contact, despite being explicitly told that she was a 13-year-old runaway, which just demonstrates how important he thought he was.
Appreciate that, Lori. Thank
Narcissistic
you.
individuals
Thank
frequently
you,
exhibit a
Evangelist.
belief that ordinary legal and social constraints are obstacles that apply to others, but not them. Machiavellianism refers to a strategic, manipulative orientation towards interpersonal relationships. In simpler terms, using others as instruments towards personal goals, maintaining multiple social presentations simultaneously, and planning several steps ahead in your devious plans. David's documented behavior across the 2022 to 2025 period is consistent with this profile. The staged disclosure of his relationship that was sufficient to lend his music credibility, but not enough to expose it, the financial management of witnesses, the claimed media training of a minor to manage his public perception, and the fake name he used on the Amazon purchases when trying to cover his murder trail. Psychopathy is characterized by reduced fear response, diminished empathy, shallow affect, and the capacity to engage in harmful behavior without the guilt and anxiety that normally regulates such behavior in normal individuals. What's actually happening in the brain is reduced amygdala reactivity, meaning the internal alarm system that makes violence psychologically hard to deal with is significantly reduced. David's deliberate desensitization program beginning at 14, his awareness of this process, saying, "I watch God to desensitize the part of my brain that feels empathy to the wrong things," and his ability, if the allegations are accurate, to attend a radio interview and album release party within hours of the alleged murder, are all consistent with elevated psychopathic traits. The prosecution's timeline describes someone who moved through the alleged crime and its immediate aftermath in a goal-directed, organized manner, without visible emotional disruption to his public functioning. He saw the murder and the cleanup as a task to get out the way, rather than a major disturbance to his life. It's important to note that psychopathy exists on a continuum. High psychopathic traits do not predict violence on their own. They represent a reduction in the internal constraints that make violence improbable for most people. You can definitely have psychopathic traits and go through life without killing anyone, but if you had to, or if you believed you had to, it wouldn't be hard for you to mentally process. The best way I see fit to analyzing the rest of his psychology is by answering some common questions surrounding the case. The first is, was David born with psychopathic traits, or did the environment shape him like this? The evidence doesn't support a simple nature or nurture answer, and the research literature on psychopathy doesn't even need one. Studies on antisocial personality disorder, which is the more official diagnosis with traits similar to psychopathy, have found that genetic predisposition is a real factor, but it's not determinative, meaning genes do play some part, but it needs more than that. What the developmental history suggests is that David likely had some dispositional features like his elevated sensation seeking, a reduced fear response, a natural tendency towards social observation over social participation that interacted with a profoundly adverse developmental environment. The isolation he experienced in homeschooling removed the social components that normally regulate and redirect dark impulses in adolescence, such as peer feedback, mentorship, romantic experience within age-appropriate contexts, and the reality testing that comes from genuine reciprocal relationships. Basically, when you're in school and you're weird, people are going to tell you you're weird and they're not going to be friends with you, and that's going to cause you to not be weird. The gore consumption, the fantasy elaboration, and the emotional desensitization program didn't occur despite his isolation. They occurred, most likely, because of it. Any genetic psychopathy predisposition might have stayed more muted in a more socially connected environment, but David was given 5 years of uninterrupted space in which to develop it without correction. The next question is, if many children experience homeschooling, many children watch gore, and many children watch anime, and they don't become violent, then why was David different? The answer is not any single factor, but the specific combination and timing of factors, and the absence of mitigating ones. 3 elements distinguish David's profile from the general population of adolescents who share some of his experiences. First, the duration and completeness of his social isolation was extreme. Not partial homeschooling with peer contact, but 5 years of near total isolation during the precise developmental window where identity and empathy are formed through reciprocal relationship. Fair enough if they let him go to some sports clubs and he got to meet people weekly, but he was completely alone. Second, his response to that isolation was not passive, but active, as he built an increasingly elaborate internal fantasy world in which violent romantic narratives were central, and he deliberately used that period to pursue desensitization by watching gore videos. Third, and perhaps most critically, nothing corrected the trajectory. There were no peer relationships to provide reality feedback. There were no teachers or mentors who intervened. When his dark material reached the public, it was celebrated. When law enforcement contacted him directly about a 13-year-old runaway, he found a way around their intervention. The system of natural corrections that normally checks and redirects deviant development failed at every point. Another question is, With his fantasies and music content, did David always have a lust for murder, or did circumstance just cause him to kill in that moment? Neither characterization is fully accurate. Despite how wild our minds like to run with conspiracy, evidence doesn't support a long-term conscious plan to murder Celeste. There's no indication he groomed her with killing in mind from the outset. What the evidence does support is a sustained internal world in which romantic relationships and fatal violence were thematically intertwined, in which he had deliberately engineered his own emotional desensitization to that violence, and in which he had repeatedly rehearsed, through his music videos, through lyrics, fantasy, and alter ego construction, the psychological experience of killing a partner and feeling nothing. Whether or not he consciously intended to kill Celeste, he had spent years building the psychological infrastructure that made it executable. The prosecution's alleged motive that he was silencing a threat to his career is entirely plausible as a proximate trigger, but the proximate trigger ignited something that had been laid down over a long period of time. A person without that psychological infrastructure, confronted with the same threat, would not have had the same response. They might have offered to talk about things, maybe to pay her off, or something, but not murder. A very common question is, why did he leave the body in his Tesla and then just go on tour? Was it narcissistic overconfidence or something else? There's the theory that he wanted the body to be found so that everyone could appreciate the art of his crime. And whilst psychologically intriguing, it doesn't hold up well against the broader evidence. The prosecution documents a person who used a false name to purchase disposable equipment, drove to Santa Barbara County to destroy evidence the night of the alleged murder, made deliberate false statements to law enforcement, and continued attempting to incinerate evidence months later, as he bought a burn cage in July that he didn't end up using. This is not the behavior of someone wanting the body to be discovered. It's the behavior of someone who believed he was managing the situation competently. The most clinically consistent explanation is indeed narcissistic overconfidence, a well-documented feature of individuals who combine high narcissistic and psychopathic traits. The belief isn't simply I am above the law in an abstract sense. It's the belief that the individual's intelligence, status, and resources are sufficient to manage any problem. Leaving the car on the street rather than disposing of it properly is a catastrophic risk assessment failure, but it's consistent with the same cognitive pattern that led him to go to his radio interview the morning after the alleged murder. The operational logic appears to have been, the car is not at my address, it's a few hundred feet away, I'm about to leave on tour, and this is manageable. He definitely thought that Celeste running away all the time was going to play to his advantage, as no one...
Hold on, y'all. I'm going to pause it right there because that's the end of, we went a little bit over the end of the fourth segment of 10 minutes. But we're about to finish strong, y'all. We got about 6 more minutes to go. So we're about to finish strong. Here's what I need y'all to do. I need to make sure we get those double tapping clappings in. I need to make sure you even shout live for this, last 5 minutes. After we finish the last 5 minutes, I'm going to go to my panelists. We give them 2 minutes to comment on some closing statements, and then we close out the show. But I need y'all to bring it home. Austin, Jennifer, welcome in. Welcome to hashtag I'm going to say it. But I need y'all to finish strong, and I'm counting on y'all. I know y'all can, all right? Y'all ready? Stretch, shake your arms out, stretch your ears out. We're going to listen to the last 5 minutes, and then we're going to go to the panel, all right? Let's roll.
One would be looking for her. But when it comes to dead bodies decomposing, you don't look for that smell. The smell finds you. The question most fascinating to me, especially when watching through all of his TikTok videos following the proposed date of the alleged murder, is what allowed him to continue functioning normally after the fact. Several interacting psychological mechanisms are relevant here. The first is the reduced guilt and anxiety response associated with elevated psychopathic traits. The internal system that makes violent acts psychologically disabling for most people was, in David's case, already significantly reduced through years of deliberate desensitization. The second is compartmentalization, a defense mechanism in which an individual maintains separate psychological areas that don't interact, allowing normal social functioning to continue in one area while extreme events are contained in another. The third is the role of his persona architecture. David had spent years living between constructed identities, none of which were his actual self. Switching to David the artist for a radio interview was not a performance grafted onto a traumatized person. It was, by that point, his default public mode of existence. He was the psychopathic and cold version of himself that night, and switched his persona to David the artist by the following morning. Finally, if the prosecution's characterization of the alleged murder as an act to silence Celeste is accurate, then there was no emotional conflict to suppress. The act achieved its objective. The threat was eliminated. For someone with the psychological profile described in this video, David saw this more as completing a task rather than being horrified at what he'd done. So it wasn't that deep to him, and that's why there were no signs, at least publicly, of breakdown or panic. Now, the final two are significantly important to many of you watching. Firstly, was David an actual pedo that would have pursued other underage girls, or was Celeste's age just incidental to timing? The evidence doesn't actually support primary pedophilic orientation as the dominant motivation, as I addressed earlier. However, the pattern of seeking a relationship with someone significantly younger, from an unstable home, and therefore highly susceptible to the power dynamic he preferred, is unlikely to be entirely incidental. The specific age of Celeste, 11 at first contact, 13 at the alleged start of the physical relationship, may reflect opportunity and controllability rather than exclusive attraction to that age group. Whether he would have sought out other minors depends significantly on whether the control and power dynamic, rather than the age itself, was the primary draw. The evidence leans towards him just preferring the control aspect, which suggests that his targets might have included adult women in vulnerable circumstances just as much as minors specifically. In simple terms, I don't believe he cares if it's an adult or a minor, just so as long as he can control them. And the final question, if not caught for this alleged murder, would David have killed again? On the available evidence, a second murder was not inevitable, but the risk profile wasn't low. The alleged murder, if accurately characterized by the prosecution, was carried out to eliminate a specific threat to a specific goal, which was protecting his career. This is different from the profile of a serial killer driven by compulsion or escalating fantasy fulfillment, like Ted Bundy, Jeffrey Dahmer, and the BTK killer. However, the post-alleged murder behavior described in prosecution documents, the methodical dismemberment, the ongoing attempts to destroy evidence, the continued public functioning, is consistent with someone who didn't experience sufficient psychological cost from the act to be deterred from repeating it under similar circumstances. If the career threat had risen again with another person in a position to expose damaging information, the psychological barriers to a similar response would have been lower the second time, not higher. Basically, if the same situation repeated itself with another girl like Celeste, David would just say, "It worked the first time, so I'll do it again." But I don't believe he'd go around his life trying to find people to murder. So, how do we summarize? David Anthony Burke's trajectory is not the product of a single cause, and it doesn't follow the profile of someone who is always going to commit a violent crime. It follows the profile of someone whose dispositional characteristics were given an extreme developmental environment in which those characteristics were amplified, reinforced, and never corrected. The homeschooling decision at 13 was the rupture, not because it was inherently abusive, because it removed the entire social architecture within which deviant development is normally detected and corrected, and replaced it with 5 years of unstructured internet access and internal elaboration. The resulting internal world, saturated with violent romantic fantasy, deliberately desensitized emotions, and a constructed alter ego who committed murders, was then given a commercial platform that celebrated rather than challenged it. The relationship with Celeste Rivas Hernandez was built on the structural conditions his isolation had created, an online social infrastructure that gave him access to vulnerable people, a power dynamic he had never experienced in any other relational context, and a fantasy framework that had always positioned a romantic partner as someone he would end up killing. What the prosecution alleges is that when that relationship produced a threat to his survival, both professionally and financially, the psychological infrastructure necessary to respond violently was formed, and the psychological barriers that would have made most people unable to act on that response weren't. Celeste Rivas Hernandez was 14 years old. She was reported missing by her family multiple times. She had reached out to the one adult who was supposed to care for her, and was told that she was wanted, loved, and seen, or at least made to feel that way at one point in their relationship. The prosecution alleges that that same person who told her those things ordered the Uber that brought her to his door and stood by as she bled out on the floor of his Hollywood Hills home. The warning signs were there, in his music, in his Discord, in his fantasy constructs, in his own words, in interviews, given freely to journalists who heard them as art. The question this case raises, for parents, for platforms, for the music industry, and for the audiences who stream artists without reading what they're actually saying, is not why nobody saw it. It's why, when it was visible, it was so easy to look away. The case is ongoing, and I plan to cover any major updates as well as documenting my own theories over on Patreon. So if you would like that alongside uncensored content from my other videos, then the link is in the description. Rest in peace, Celeste Rivas Hernandez. I've been Jay Wisdom, and until next time.
Let's get that up to Jay Wisdom. I love how he conducted that, how he broke it down, how he took it step by step. I mean, that's important. It's highly important because yeah, the media can cover it, and yeah, we can see videos about it on YouTube and stuff like that. But nobody is really. They never took the time to actually dissect it, and I love that. You know, I love that. But hold on, before I get to my panel, Jimmy Roscoe and I we were part of the pro wrestling industry. I'm, you know, we got somebody that's in common. You know that we both know. Um, like I said, through marriage, he is my cousin through marriage. No, it's not the same one that is uh, being held in prison, and he's innocent. That's not the cousin I'm talking about. But I saw where you said that he had threatened you. I didn't know that, but I will say the one day that we did come over to where y'all was staying, man, and it was kind of weird on seeing him maneuver. The fact that he threatened to do that to you is diabolical, and it's diabolical because one, like I said, I never would have thought that came from him. I never thought he was that person. Never. Um, but even when we were still in Riverdale wrestling at Rocky's place, and I was talking to, I think at the time he was with Star, but and this is of course before Star moved, and we're not gonna dox where she moved to, but before she moved, and it was Star, my wife. I came up while they were talking. I came up and we started talking, and then Rhino came up. But anyways, Scandalous came up. But I was talking about my son passing away, and then they mentioned his son passed away. I thought that yeah, you was there. You was there. Yeah, he was cheating with Monty. Yep. Okay, so you know the night I'm talking about. I thought that, and people, I know y'all don't know what we talking about. It's just let me and him. All right, we're gonna close out in a minute, but this is real spill, real life. Uh, that night when we was talking about it, I thought that his son passed away from maybe like a natural cause. You see what I'm saying? Hold on, let me see something. Yeah, okay, that's what I need right there. That's what I need. Okay, okay. Can you hear me, nephew?
Yes, sir. I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you loud and clear.
Yeah, I wanted the people to hear so they can hear how real this is, man. Cause you was playing some good stuff, so I need the people to hear that I righteously survived.
Hmm. You did. I didn't. Like I said, I didn't know that, but you know the night
Yes,
that I'm talking about.
yes, sir. The night we met,
Yes.
and matter of fact, remember when me and you was talking good, and you was like, "I got you, nephew. I got you. I got you."
Yep. Yep.
After that night, my life was in danger, and it wasn't a
Yep.
damn thing I can do about it.
You couldn't
That's
tell
why
no.
my career was terrible. That's why I had to disappear. That's how I had to reinvent myself. I literally had to disappear and reinvent myself because, Samaj is still my middle name. It was just backwards.
Hmm.
But I really had to reinvent myself because of the things that were tied to me through him, which he
Hmm.
blamed on you and everybody else from Color of Success and everybody else.
That we
And
didn't
that
even know.
I stared my life 3 times. I saw my life flash in the man's eye 3 times off the choices that he was making. From breaking in bandos, stealing cars, cheating on his wife, and being blackballed in the business.
Mm.
It was
Man.
bad. It was bad. And it was like I had nobody to talk to because he done already programmed them that something was wrong with me. So I really, really, really had to deal with that. I'm talking about this man. This man had Rocky King thinking I turned my back. This man had the entire business thinking that I was just being a complete butthole. With all in all, man, I was crying out in so many different ways to somebody to save this man, save me from this man. Robert Green, you remember Jay Green?
I know. Yep.
He was the first to escape. Ain't look back.
Mm.
I ain't even gonna lie. I heard the raping of a night. And I say, oh my God, I gotta get away from this. This girl said, get off me, stop. I'm done with you. I'm done with you. I heard her scream. And I'm like, man, I gotta get away from this. And when my mother called me and told me that my presence as her son is demanded because of her and my father both was battling cancer, that saved me from that textbook sociopath. Like, I'm talking about anybody that came around me, he found a way to tell them, if I catch you around them again, I'ma kill you. Like, literally, couldn't nobody save me because he found a way to either find them on Facebook or he'll tell them to ride to the store and he'll threaten them. And man, when I tell you that's how I know God is real, that's why I dedicated everything in my bones to thank God no matter how hard times get, because I literally survived a textbook sociopath. That's why I'm writing a book called The Blind Side of Loyalty, because people be so hard trying to prove loyalty that you miss a lot of things trying to prove something to somebody who claimed that they never had. So people got to be careful out here, man.
You right. You right on that. Man, I'm holding back tears, brother. I'm holding back because, you and I fell out, and we didn't have no reason to fall out. But
He was the common denominator. That's why I had to run away. That's why I had to run away. Cause remember, I told you to your face, hey man, I look up. Matter of fact, if you can think back, you probably got tears in your eyes because you remember that same looking I had when I said, help me. Think about it. Look, think about it. Think about the look I
I had
had in
no
my face.
idea, man. I had no
Yes.
idea.
Yes, man. That man used to tell me it was y'all that was trying to kill me in the ring. That man said it was y'all that put pedophile type reputations on me. Like, man, it was tough, man. I still battle with pro wrestling right now because of the reputation these folks still trying to pin me with him. And that man long gone. And they even, man, when it come to it, man, I'll go pull up the articles because I ain't scared to speak out about this.
You don't listen. Listen. Let me tell you, brother. Ah,
Yeah, brother. It was a lot, man. It was a lot, brother. It was a lot.
Okay. So the daughter, You know the daughter.
Yep.
You know the daughter. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. She ran away. She ran away.
Yep.
Right. Well, I got my city. I got my city.
Of
Corner to
course.
corner. Right. So I put the word out because I'm looking at it like this is my cousin's daughter. This is my little cousin, man. I need her back home.
Right.
Not knowing what she ran
okay.
away from.
Oh, okay. A monster. A monster.
Yes.
When that man said he was a monster, he really, really stood on that. Yes. I'm talking about, I ain't even gonna lie. I think his sister had something to do with it too. You know what I'm saying? Because I ain't
Aisha?
even. No, Tanika.
Oh, Tanika. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I know you're talking about.
Cause look. It's personal, but folks need to realize how serious this
It's
type of
real.
stuff is. And we gonna wrap up the show because I ain't trying to hold nobody up because I know you on the time frame. But one time, me and her was trying to get intimate. Mind you, I ain't been around nobody but this man. Why? When I got on top, she gave me this defensive elbow and said, "Move, because you smell like him." I said, "Who the hell is him?" She said, "My abuser." And I'm talking about she ain't said nothing since.
Listen.
Crazy work.
Listen.
And the crazy part about it is, when people meet me in person, the way I carry myself, you wouldn't even want to believe I've been through stuff like that. But my mama always told me, Don't look like what you went through, because if somebody gonna help you, you want them to respectfully help you and not pity help you, because a lot of people hold pity over you forever.
That's so true, man. And you know, I feel bad because, like I said, I put the word out on the city, and she was tracked down and she was brought back, and I just didn't like. I had no clue.
You wouldn't think, man.
No.
That's why everybody who can hear me till this very day, it's stuff like that. The reason why I'm so transparent. I don't mind sharing no type of story, because you never know who's around you, or what, or you don't want to pull no trigger. You don't want them to hit no trigger, or you just don't want to get caught up, because a lot of people are getting caught up in other folks' karma. Like, you don't know what people be having going on. So that's why I be like, man, either you gonna tell me who you are, or you gonna go on and get on up out my face. Because at the end of the day, I want to be loyal to true purity, not no facade of who you think you, or who you are, because of how I
Portraying to
look.
be, yeah.
Exactly. Like, please do not let I hate that my image be having these doofies and goofies thinking that I'm something that I'm totally the opposite of. Like, man, y'all better get to know me. And anybody that sit around and perpetrate me, man, I get them on my face real quick, because of him and the lies that he sold. Like, the way my life, man, when I say that's how I know God is good, man, look at here. God is good. Cause I should have been dead, or I should have been sitting right next to him because of guilty by association.
Man. And it's crazy because, like I said, man, we was sitting there, and it was just like clear as day, but you couldn't put it. I couldn't put a finger on it. I'm just gonna speak for me. I couldn't put a finger on it when we was over at the
People
house.
know
I'm
how to
like, dude,
wear masks,
what is?
brother.
He
People know how
wore
to
a
wear
brace.
masks, man. I'm talking about, look, think about it. Think about how these women getting these BBLs and all this makeup. You ain't gonna see the real them until they have no choice. In other words, they gotta get in the shower, or they get older and their butt start dropping. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we
I'm
need
Like,
to find out.
crying. Not and they butt start dropping.
yeah,
Chill
That's the
out,
only
Danny.
way.
He
You know,
said and they butt start dropping. I'm not.
I'm I'm
listen,
Good
I'm I'm
night.
I'm serious. From Atlanta to Birmingham, I done seen it all. I done been around, because of how I look. People love to try to put on this facade, and I'm like, I'm a big goofy kid. I watch cartoons and pro wrestling. I don't care about reality TV. I don't care who's sleeping with who. I don't care about none of that, because it ain't got nothing to do with me.
okay, so let me ask you this. Let me ask you
Ask
this
away,
though.
brother.
Well,
I want to inspire, and as I want to inspire anybody who's ever been told, no, you might want to keep that to yourself. No, you better get that up off you.
nah, I would have loved to. I mean, I would have loved to have known. Like it's like I said, it's one of those things where when I was around, especially not during shows, not during show, because we always moving around. We
Right,
doing, we
right,
gotta get in the
right,
zone. So
right.
like, so not there, but I'm talking about on personal time. Where at the house, we come over and then we get ready to go out, and it was just like, man, something is off how he's talking, and not only between how he was
Lying.
talking to y'all, it's Amani, and then knowing Amani was with his sister
Yeah,
before,
yeah,
and then his two brothers ran the choo choo,
yeah.
and then he
Yes,
wiped her up, and I'm
yes,
so
yes. And Star almost stabbed me because he told her I helped them get together just because me and Money had the same birthday. And it was mighty weird that he
wow,
found two people who shared the same birthday the day he killed his son. He killed his son on
okay,
me and
now
Money's birthday.
hold on, okay, hold on. That's what I was gonna get. I was waiting to get to that because I was telling you that night when we was talking, I thought his son passed away from like a incident that was something beyond his control, but
Right.
right after I found out that he impregnated his daughter,
Yes, man.
that's when I found out
Okay, I think I need to leave. I'm getting
No,
triggered.
this is real. This is our real
this is
life.
real. This is
I
real.
This is
know.
real.
It's a lot of backhanded stuff that go on in this world, and people done learned how to mask it so good. You do not know who these people be until literally it's damn near too late. I want
It's
to
too
help
late.
people
Yeah.
start realizing, like, I listen and don't judge. But what pisses me off is I'm telling you who I am. I'm transparent, but you put me in the room of smoke and mirrors. Nope. No. To anybody that's standing in the room of smoke and mirrors, you better find the brightest flashlight, LED lights you got, and shine them lights on them demons real quick. Cause these people out here, man, let me tell you something.
It's real
My
spill, man.
the way I carry myself, man, I done when my new lady taught me that the devil also had 200 extra millions to help him. Cause see, the church done taught us it's like maybe one, two, or three, seven at most for the seven deadly sins. Now this
No.
bastard had
A lot
200
more.
extra warriors that do the same thing he do. So now this my thing. I ain't scared of meeting nobody. What I'm scared of is the lies they're going to try to tell me because of who they think I am and what I look like. That's what
Nephew.
I'm scared of. I ain't never
Nephew.
scared of no hello. I'm scared of the garbage that they're gonna try to shoot me trying to perpetrate.
Bro, when they found after you know she went, her and her mama went and they opened up the case. They went there, they arrested him. They
Yeah,
arrested him, right?
I was there when the FBI. Matter of fact, my last 6 months in Georgia, I remember we were staying in this townhouse in East Point, and he was sweating real bad, and all of a sudden he said, "Hey, if a detective come knocking at the door, tell him y'all don't know me." I looked around, I said, "You know what? It is time to go." And the only reason why I stayed there, I ain't even gonna cap, cause being the man, that detective that came looking for him, I ain't the hips on her, I would have surrendered. But anywho,
He said, it's me, I am him."
I would have surrendered. But the way he took off and left me and his sister, like I'm talking about, I was with this man when he was stealing houses. This man
Well,
went
hold
and
on.
got,
Oh, that's
oh,
stop.
okay,
Stop
okay.
right there. See, that's
He,
what. Okay, so since you brought that up too, because we
yes,
had it was about 3 or 4 in the morning, man. We had to hurry up and go get him out of this house and move everything out of the house.
yeah,
BJ, you remember BJ?
yes.
Okay, yeah, we had to go and get him out the
Me
house.
and him was at each other's neck because of miscommunication that didn't even come from me, man.
See what I'm saying, man?
Like y'all were my brothers, man. Like Rocky King let me come into this multi-$1,000 business with just pure passion and dedication. That's
Yeah,
why I was all over the place, and he used that against me. He used my loyalty against me. He used my drive to be a good brother against me. And it's
yeah,
like
he
with them
ain't gonna
stealing
lie.
houses, like how you think he used to get them? I was small enough to slide through the cracks in the windows. I went through them windows and went and broke them locks.
Listen, I did. Okay. I thought he really was doing real estate. That's what he told us.
No, man. No, that sociopath, man, that he used political words to cover up real crimes, man. This man used to drive,
Yes.
this man used to have me riding through the city with him, and we'll find spots that look like they ain't been touched. I'm talking about me and Jay, we used to cut the grass. I'm talking about he stole credit card numbers and used to order sheetrock, all this, that, and the third. I'm talking about I literally, man, I could take anybody right now to this 6-bedroom duplex that this man left me downstairs building while he upstairs getting his parlay and party on with money. Like, and then soon as I needed a break, man, we need to get this done, man. Before I had to do
Man, you
something to
sound just
you.
like him too. I
And
ain't
I'm
gonna,
like,
yeah.
bro, hold on, bro. You up here laying up with your buns, but you telling me like, what? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Like, I'm talking about he ran off all my friends, but it took one. And his name is AJ Kitchens. And I love that man till this day because real talk, when he saw it got too far, he stood up to that man's face and said, "Hey, bro, I don't give a damn what you got going on. I'm going to protect him. He don't deserve this." And he hid me out until my mama made that phone call.
Okay, listen. Oh my God, man. Like, I know, listen, y'all, I know my viewers is like, what in the fuck?
Hey,
What
look, you
the?
playing sociopath type stuff, man. So I had to go ahead and add out like
But
a pair
no,
of stinking drawers, bro.
no, bro. Hey, nephew, you on time. Understand where I'm from. Like I said, this is my cousin. And so I got people like, hey, even his dad. I get on that in a minute. There's so many directions we can go in with this, but okay. The night that him and Amani got into it, Amani busted him in the head with the brick.
Yes.
Was you there?
Yes. Yes.
What did she? What do you know? What? I don't even know. It's like I got 13 questions at one time.
Ask him, brother, because you touching on something that ain't no podcaster right now is touching with authenticity. These podcasters are telling, they're getting stories from groups of people. Y'all talking to a real live dude that survived a sociopath. I was there with the rapes. He confessed the murders. I bet not have moved because he had so much going on. Like I told him, bro, I don't care what you do. Just let me go. Just let me go be free. You ain't got to worry about me saying nothing. He wasn't going for that. I was there. Monty got tired of him taking her goods. She told him to stop. He impregnated her on purpose. Twice. He tried to turn the lesbian into something that she's not. So he impregnated her on purpose. He was raping that girl, man.
Hold on, say graping. I know TikTok.
Grape.
I hate this.
I'm so sorry.
Nephew, I wish we probably should have had this conversation on YouTube or something. But because I want these people to understand this is somebody that you and I have dealt with on.
Like I'm talking about dealt with close hand. I spent 7 years on this man's hip. Like at least you had different places to go to.
I feel bad, man. I had no idea.
I was sleeping with both eyes open for 7 years because I just didn't know when this man was gonna snap.
Man, okay. So, do you remember? I know you do because you was there.
Of course.
Like I'm starting out with a rhetorical. Do you remember? Of course you were there. But what I'm saying,
just to be on the safe side.
Right. So that's the second show that we wrestled at. We wrestled in Heflin, Alabama.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. HTCW.
Yes. Yep. It was okay. No. IWE.
Yeah. Oh, yes, sir.
IWE.
Yes, sir.
It's my promotion. Yeah.
Yep.
So I had booked Dementia the Road. She don't go by that now, but Dementia the Road, I booked her.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Okay. Now she was riding with him and Amani. Now on the way home,
we was all together. It was me, him, Con, Bree. Yes, we was all together. Yes.
Okay. When y'all got back up to the A, Dementia. She called me. Her and I talked on the phone, and she told me that he was trying the whole ride home. He was trying to get her to have a
threesome with her and mine.
Yeah.
Treyway. I'm gonna say Treyway.
Yeah. Treyway. There you go. Safe words. Treyway. I'm like, Dementia. I wouldn't do that. I would never put any of my talent that I booked in any type of compromising situations like that. I was like, I'll definitely talk to him about it. She was like, no, don't worry about it. Everything's okay.
Nah, she was old that, man, because
she was.
Yes, she was old that, because I ain't even gonna lie to you, that came from a place of jealousy. Because me and her, I told her I was a fan of her work. Like it wasn't just that dump truck she was carrying. I was really a fan of her work.
That whoop.
Oh, okay. It's called the mass destruction for a reason. So like we was just in the locker room just kicking it. So he went and told his sister, who I was dating, that I'm in the locker room trying to get it in with her. So she remember she started acting the fool on me at that show. He started that because he saw me and her was back there bonded. Like I told him, bro, I'm not you. I ain't trying to do all of that. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm fans of indie guys because, with all due respect, I'm dogging WWE when I get off your stuff.
For sure.
Man, the business is through. Anywho, he started that because he thought me and his sister was on that type time, and I'm like, I don't know what all y'all got going on, but I'm a fan of this girl wrestling. I ain't studying none of that.
Right.
Anything that got close to me, he went and told his sister to lie. His sister ran back and told him that we got to arguing, and I was almost cooked geese plenty of time.
Behind that.
Manipulation, master manipulation, and gaslighting in his finest, brother. You heard, yes, it is, Big Mel. It is terrible. They're using the same 13 people to take over the wrestling business. Yes.
Yeah, it's horrible. I tell everybody, man, what we do, we the heartbeat of pro wrestling, man.
There you go.
Got
Oh,
any
okay.
promotion, man.
But that's
listen.
a subject for another day, because I'm sure, man, I'm finna whack them today, because that don't make no sense. But,
But hold on. So let me, okay, man, because
I know you stuck, brother, because because like I said, you don't know who you around until stuff hit the fan. And cause I ain't gonna lie, AJ was calling AJ and another guy that they call. Matter of fact, he on TikTok. He go by the name Jimi Hendrix. We call him BA in person. Man, when all that stuff was going down, I'm talking about he just sending it to me back to back. And the more that I seen, and I'm just like, man, I'm sick to my stomach because I knew it. Bruh, I know a sociopath when I see one because my dad was schizophrenic. So I could peep mental illness anywhere. But when I started seeing it, I just got quiet and I started trying to find ways to reach out. But everybody I reached out to just coincidentally didn't want nothing to do with me. They wouldn't listen.
he had messed that up, though.
Yeah, they wouldn't listen. So it was like, what do I do? Until this day, I still think my mom for getting me out of there, man. I still think my mom. Me and my mom might fall out tomorrow, but I'll be like, Mom, you know what? I don't care how mad you get at me. You ain't gonna like me. I mean, I'm your son, not your man, so you ain't gonna like everything I do. But that phone call till this day, Mom, that phone call was the reason I was able to see 40 years old.
Heard that.
Girl,
Let me ask you this: How did he? Because when like I said, his daughter and his mom, they filed the charges, they arrested him and stuff like that. Everything was coming out, and I remember him. I was talking to CJ, CJ Brim, and he was like, "Guess who just called me?" I'm like, "Who?" He was like, Chris.
Yeah,
and I'm like, okay, what he's like? Because at this point, you got to understand, I'm still mad because. Here I am. I sent little cuz back to her dad that was sexually assaulting and raping her. Not only that, but on top of that, impregnated her.
Yes.
And I'm like, what did he say? He was like, he said, he wanted to know what the streets were saying. I was like, he don't need to worry about what the streets are saying. What we need to worry about, why did he do this?
Yes.
Now, after that happened, he called back a couple of weeks later. He went to court. He called back a couple of weeks later. He thought CJ called me. He said that it's not true, and he waiting for the results to come back for the DNA test.
That's what I'm saying, man. Look at the manipulation, man. Like, come on, bro. Forensics don't lie. God ain't finna lie. Come on, man. Like, bruh. And he used to get me like that, man, because he took advantage of the fact that me and my family had some real severe differences. And he used to lie
on that
so bad. Man, what?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, I tell you this. The DNA test came back. He did impregnate his daughter.
It's in the news. I got it in my phone. I got
Fox 5 on mine. I still gotta read it. I'm like, am I seeing this right? Like,
man,
come on, man.
Look, man. When I was at work, when I first started getting them phone calls about this man, and when I said, AJ, stop playing with me, bro. He said, don't believe me. Go look it up. Man, I went and looked it up, man. I'm talking about mid-flight. I was pushing the passenger in the wheelchair, and I fell on my knees and started crying. So the lady said, "Sir, first she was mad at me because she didn't understand. But when I got myself together, and I showed her and told her how I survived this dude, man, she gave me $50 because she pulled out $5. But she gave me 50. She said, "Oh my God, you such a strong young man, and you such a warrior. God got you, baby." I said, "The fact that I survived him, I've been knew that, ma'am, and I'm gonna keep dedicating everything I got to him."
I know that's right. I know that's when I found out. After that, that's when I found out that when he is the reason why his son passed away.
Yes, man. I'm like blunt force trauma. I said I knew it. I knew it because the way you be threatening everybody around you, I ain't even gonna lie to you, man. My brain went so far left. I wouldn't be surprised if he played a part in killing his own mom. I ain't even gonna lie to you because of what I saw, what I've been around and exposed to, the way his mama mysteriously died right when I met them. I promise you, the first thing I said, he probably dropped something in that woman's food and played dumb.
Well, listen, is that far fetched? Knowing what we know now, it's not far fetched that happened.
Okay.
You
And
know?
one thing I had to stop doing, I had to stop letting my ego ignore my intuition, even if it is unpopular and cool. One thing we people got to do, we got to stop playing with God. We got that intuition, but because of who it is, we'll be like who it is or what it is or the significance of the time of the person. No, they
wouldn't do that. Yeah,
they wouldn't do that. No, man, listen, I don't put nothing past nobody. The only problem you gonna get out of me and whatever you do is you lie about it. I'm the type of person, I'ma have your back tighter than an extra small shirt. But if you take me off, don't be mad because your back is wide open to get smacked.
Yeah, and I'm you right about that, nephew, because I that was my initial response. Nah, man, they got something wrong.
Oh, okay.
He wouldn't do that.
How you think I felt? How you think I felt bucking up against everything that been in this business longer than I've been in the live, taking ass whoopings because I'm defending him. That has always been. That's one of my characteristics that's always been used against me with my loyalty, especially coming from people with bad spirits. They play on that, and I end up barking up trees that I don't. First of all, it wasn't even my tree to even go near because I got my own fruit and vegetable. But I'm the type of homie. When I ride with you, the wheels can fall off. We finna go find a tire spot, or we finna sit there till it open. I'm not gonna leave you nowhere. I'm finna play some music,
real spill,
tell some jokes, or we finna find something in common until we can fix them tires. If the wheel axle broke, guess what? We finna find some bricks, sit that car there, and we gonna sit here together and figure out what's next. I literally did that with him. Literally.
man. So,
okay. I'll be on sparks till we fix. Oh, okay. Brake rotors and everything. Just yes, I am that type of dude. But it has been played against me by narcissists and textbook sociopath, and that man, he is the reason I am writing a book called The Blind Side of Loyalty. That is that shaded gray area in loyalty that nobody either talks about because they scared or they're being forced to not say anything because of the significance of the time or the title behind that person. A lot of people are being abused by family members, but because they've been whipped by sacrilegious people in that Bible, they better not say nothing. Well, and that's not cool.
Well, no. And there's that third element to that too, nephew. Some of them don't even survive it.
Yeah. Yes. They plan their own home going, if you know what that means.
Mm-hmm. That's what I mean. Yep. So we see eye to eye. We know.
Oh, okay.
I got a couple more questions. I got to get going, but
I'm about to say, come on, because I got 3%. I'll talk this thing till it go black.
Got you. Okay, so the first thing I want to ask you, is that why Star left and moved to Florida?
Yes. Scared for her life and them babies. Okay. Yes.
Okay. Second thing I want to ask you, did he have a hand in, well, it might be a third thing too. Khan had his situation with him and Bree. Was he ever part of that?
You know what? That's why you got to be careful of the energies you stand around, because you'll become something that you're not, because you're standing around somebody you ain't supposed to be around. And to be quite honest, I saw that coming. That's why I wanted to go solo. That's why I wanted to get out of Set in Stone, because I'm gonna be all the way honest with you. That ain't had nothing to do with Rhino. That was his wife. His wife got that same type of spirit that he has. And I tried to save him, brother. I tried. Oh, God knows I tried to save that man. But you know, when you look, she had that witchcraft put on him. He didn't want to leave when he knew he was supposed to be gone. Set in Stone was supposed to be wrestling the Usos. No matter how much I hated WWE, we was supposed to be there. Not the Motor Machine Guns. It was supposed to be Set in Stone. We had that much potential. But every time something good came that man's way, she woke up that day with hell in her eyes and fury in her soul. And there wasn't nothing nobody can do about it until she wanted to calm down.
That explains the fiery red hair and everything, man.
Oh, okay. That's why you gotta watch. You got to watch people and how they represent themselves, because they really be trying to live out something they ain't supposed to be living out. Bree Phoenix, no, that ain't the X-Man version of Phoenix. That is Satan's favorite red bird. He blasted that man on the internet by him being a cheater. And in that same breath turned around and said, don't nobody disrespect my husband. Either you gonna send me some money to get him loyal, or all y'all go to hell. I said, but you just, you know what? I'm so glad all of y'all are past chapters. Y'all was a good part of my life. Don't get me wrong, man. Some of my best matches, I was in the ring with both them guys, from the triple threat to the 8-man tag match that was 30 minutes long. As wrestlers, as performers, I miss those guys. As human beings, God got them exactly where they need to be. If however long they need to be there.
PeriodPointBlank.com.
Anytime you need me, cause look, man, I might be younger than you, man, but trust me,
good, bro.
I got some stories to help you with your audience, man. I done seen a couple of folks that told me bring me in as a co-host, because I finna start. The first time I seen your podcast and it said I'm gonna say it, I got a shirt on. I got a T-shirt right now that on the back that said, "Warning: choosing to disturb my peace will result in immediate ass whooping. Hashtag I said what I said." So you inspired me, man. Like, I was really finna get my podcast game back on, and I was gonna really ask your blessing. Could I use that hashtag I said what I said?
Absolutely. I mean,
Ron,
I'll
man,
come and
I gotta
support
show
it.
my respect, G.
I'll come and support you.
Yes, sir. I mean, I need you. You got the audience of real listeners. You know what I'm saying? I'm still filtering out these rinky-dink wrestlers they done let in the business. But please let me know when you touch that subject, because, man, look at here. Tell C-Dog, tell all my former brothers, now that you know the truth, please free my name from my brothers that I met early in my career. I miss you guys. I miss being in the locker room with you guys. If anything, I feel like I owe you guys one good ass whooping before everybody hang it up.
Well, unfortunately I have, but I think C-Dog is trying to get back into it. But we do have our podcast together. We do. I think it's May 30th. I think it's what we do.
Hey, tell the big brother I said I love him and I miss him. But now that you know what's going on, because he couldn't stand me. He couldn't stand me because he didn't. I know. I just couldn't explain nothing without my life being threatened. Please clear my name with our brother. Tell him I love him and I miss him. Anytime you need me, inbox me on here, man, because I'm going to be on here all the time, man. You got some good going on, man. We need to help our people.
I appreciate that. I love you to life, nephew, and I'll do that.
Love you,
I'll start sending you an invite.
All right, most def. I'm finna charge up, man. Anybody want to talk to me, want to learn how to survive, hit me up, Jimmy Roscoe 86. I'm gonna get back to you as soon as I can. I got a little old man. I got a new baby boy.
Oh, you know?
Yeah, I'm a new dad, man.
Welcome to the fatherhood
I'm a
society.
new dad, man. I'm talking about at 38 years old. God gave me a new one. So I'm here, man.
Man.
I'm
All
here.
right.
I love y'all. Love you,
I love you, boy. Be safe.
All right, man. Yes, sir. You too.
All right. Man, y'all, it's good. It's good. It's good. God is always on time. That's number one. We already talked about that, but man, I'm gonna have to close out the show. I gotta go get the wife at church. But y'all, I don't apologize for that conversation, but I wanted y'all. I more so. Let me thank y'all for allowing us to have that conversation because that's real life. That's nothing that you can go on YouTube and there's another content creator that has that story. We live that. That is us. That's real life. And most importantly, I want y'all to know also that the pro wrestling that y'all see, WWE, and this is real stuff. This is what go on behind the scenes. This is it's the real life outside of the entertainment part of it. I didn't know. I feel bad that I even had people out looking for little cuz and then took her back. I'm thankful for her mom and her grandmother for getting her out of that situation. Even though Chris is my cousin, I'll never go visit him. I know that might be wrong to certain people. I love him, but I can't. There's a lot of stuff that you gotta understand. We were just wrestling together, friends, before we even found out that we was related, and so we've spent time together. This man's been my tag team partner. We went against each other. And I seen some stuff that I didn't understand it. I didn't get it. It didn't make sense. But I was like, okay, it's not my business, or maybe it's just me that's being hyperbolical. That's what I think I'm seeing. I'm not really seeing. I'm just it's just me. But and to you, hey, nephew, if you still in here, I want you to know that all the things that you heard and you couldn't talk about and you couldn't speak and before I even go any further, I'm a man. I'm a man. And so I'm gonna apologize to you for even being upset or anything like that because I had no idea you was going through any of that. Yeah, thank you, sis. Yeah, absolutely. Y'all W my sister Jenny in the live, man. Like that came out of nowhere. I wasn't even expecting that or anything like that. But when he made that comment in the live, I'm like, if we talking about the same person, because I've been sitting with this too, and so that was God bringing it together. But it was also, nephew, I want you to know before I close out, that's as tragic as everything is that happened. I want you to make sure you find the segue out of it by knowing that the things that you couldn't say that you was experiencing and going through, God allowed it to be revealed to us all. And that's why Chris is where he's at right now. That's why Chris belongs where he is right now. And that's why Chris will die where he is right now. And all I want to, I just, all my prayers go out to his daughter and her child. How hard that got to be to know that this is your child that you love because it's your child, but it's by the hands of your own father. That's sick. And his dad. Now I know for a fact that his dad messed with Chris's mom when she was young, and then I am Mr. Marietta, and so even the older head, even the OGs, they've already let me know. Yeah, man, he had that. Man, he would be messing with them high school girls when he was already 30. So I know that the branch don't grow too far from the tree when it comes to the sexual assaults, the grapes, stuff like that. And then I saw with my own eyes that Aisha asked him, why did you do that to my mama? You knew she was young. Why would you do that? And he like, I didn't know. I didn't, whatever. But then, in the same, because she screenshotted the messages and sent it to me. And then he was trying to kick it to her. And she told him, don't you think that's inappropriate? One, how old you are, how young I am. Two, you was with my mom. You did that to my mama. Like, but this is real spill that's happening. And even now, when I see him at basketball games and I see him at football games and I see him out and about in the city, I'm not going to lie. I have to look at him side-eyed because it's like a lot of stuff, if it was one time back then, y'all did, okay, cool. But nah, people he know, people he hung out with, they said this is his smut, his snitch. I mean, this is his smuck. That's what he does, even back then. And so I'm gonna be honest. Part of me wonder if something might have been done to Chris when he was younger. I don't know that for sure. I'm not here to put that on the table. None of it makes sense to me. All I know is that a person who I thought was really, really good, a family member that I never thought would be this demonic, it happened. And now, I follow Lil Cuz on. Well, not on this one. I had it on my old account. And to see her just smiling in her videos and in her pictures, man, like I love her because she had to overcome a lot, and I'm sure it's still messed with. I don't think she'll ever be okay. I don't think it. I don't want to speak for her, and I pray. I know all things are accomplishable through Christ. I know that, but no buts. I'm just saying I understand if she still has a hard time dealing with it. You get me? Y'all, this has been one of the realest shows I've ever had. And I thank God for it, how it closed out. And I thank God for a lot of the answers that Jimmy Roscoe was able to provide me with, because it was a lot of things that I just could not figure out. I could not. And you put that on the table. It was a lot of things, like, Star was always cool. And I'm just like, man, how did she just move to Florida overnight? Like, and what made her move to Florida? And yeah, I got the cheating with the money, and then even that threw me off. Like I said, I'm thinking of it like, okay, how could she? Okay, so now Amani was dating Aisha, his sister. I know. I done seen them in the locker room sitting. She was sitting in Aisha's lap. They was kissing and hugging. So I know what I seen. And then word was around that his brothers, two of his brothers, ran the choo-choo on Amani. And I was like, ew. But okay, to each his own, I guess. And then to see him wife her. And then to see her with 2 kids by him. And then it was the fight. As Amani started dating some other girl. And I'm like, well, dang, she went to a girl, she got 2 kids. But then when she hit him in the head with the brick and left and moved, I was like, what was that about? And then we start, getting into all of what y'all heard us talking about. So yeah, it tied up those strings for me, sis. Like, man. Listen, y'all, this has been your self-proclaimed favorite news reporter, Mr. Breaking News, G Smooth, reporting from the newsroom. I hope y'all have a good day. If you need a drink after this, salute, I got you, because I'm probably going to go get one myself. But thank y'all for joining me for that. David, we're going to follow the David situation, but at the end of the day, I was supposed to ask you all, do you think it's sociopathic or do you think it was psychopathic? Which one do you think he is? All right. Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all day. Don't forget, tomorrow we're supposed to do Charisma and Crisis. And we'll have another show. Hashtag I'm going to say it, but it'll probably be around the same time, 1 o'clock-ish. But tomorrow we're going to talk about, listen, Camel Face is still at it, y'all. I don't know if you've heard or not, but, a couple of weeks ago, we had Breezy's house getting at the same thing that happened at Reed's house. And then just a couple of days ago, a guy allegedly jumped the fence and set Breezy's house ablaze. And of course, all common denominator ninjas seems like it's Camel Face that's involved. And the reason why is because allegedly Breezy's willing to testify or willing to admit and talk about that Camel Face did in fact have sexual interactions with Reed when she was not the age of consent. So that's what the show will be on tomorrow. I look forward to seeing y'all there. Remember, share out the live if you can. If you get the playbacks or whatnot, share it out. Let's get people in here, or invite a friend. Let's do it that way. Just invite some friends. Invite some friends tomorrow to come join the show. Tell them now so they'll be here at 1 o'clock. All right? I love y'all. See you tomorrow. Peace and blessings. I love y'all to life.